Welcome back, everyone, to the 2014 North American LCS Spring Split. We are joined by TSM's Dyrus. Dyrus, congrats on your win. Welcome.
What's up, guys? Thank you.
All right, so coming into this one, fighting Curse. What were your thoughts coming into the match at the very beginning?
I was quite surprised that CLG swept them. So I was going into the match thinking that, all right, these guys aren't going to want to lose again. I've been seeing upsets all day, so I don't want to be. We don't want to keep that trend going.
Yeah, and before we get into anything, I was trying to talk to Reginald on the stage earlier, but you actually managed to interrupt the conversation right at the start. Actually, I want to show you how it looked on the screen. Right as I was trying to talk to Reginald, he decided to stare into the fans' eyes. It was hugely distracting to Reginald. He might have to talk to you afterwards. Why were you trying to do the troll smile?
Well, I didn't even know the camera was there. I was just kind of confused, and I was I just randomly felt like smiling, make a couple people laugh. You know, I love it when people laugh.
It's good. It's good. It's glad that you're just smiling in general. You're kind of a happy player. So kind of coming into this match, right? What actually stood out to me, we've seen actually a lot of this, is LeBlanc coming out and just terrorizing the crap out of mid lane. What's made her just show up so fiercely now into the scene?
In my opinion, it's well, I'm not a mid laner, but I feel like LeBlanc is you just one-shot someone, and she has so much mobility, although she's very fragile. So I feel like in the hands of a very skilled player like Bjergsen, he's just going to if he doesn't make any mistakes, he's just going to dominate, just like how Shifter did in the match against EG.
And actually, speaking of Bjergsen, before we got on camera, you were talking about how Bjergsen could pretty much win any matchup if it's an equal or better matchup, that he's just that strong of a player. How does that impact you as a team where you're well, we know we can win mid lane, and then we can kind of move from there?
It's a huge advantage. He's just that good. It's like playing 4-on-5, just like the other day against Dig. I just didn't do anything, and my team won on their own.
And one big question I have, since you guys are now 3-1 in Super Week, a pretty good result, is how's the team communication going? Because that was a really big question of fans coming into the split.
It's always a thing, team communication. No matter how good or how bad we do, it's always about the communication, how we mesh with each other. On the first day, we had it was really bad, in my opinion. Where well, I'm not sure if the communication was bad. It's just understanding each other and doing it properly. Even the game against EG, it felt like a scrimmage. We were talking about stuff we shouldn't even be talking about. We weren't focused on the game, and we were questioning our practice schedule and everything, stuff like that. You'd probably ask Reginald, but I thought it was really bad on the first day. And then the second day and third day, second day I didn't really do anything, and third day just try our best, come together, and try not to get upset.
Wow, you didn't get upset. Actually, I want you to talk me through one of these team fights you had in the game. Around 28 minutes, we actually had it on the rollout right before we went to commercial. If we can pull up the clip right now. Just tell me what you personally were thinking in the midst of this team fight, if we can get right into it right away.
All right, so we just ulted because we accidentally attacked Baron.
All right.
And we did that a lot. And I was just I'm attacking the closest target. I'm trying to look for Cop, and he's all the way on the bottom side, and I just failed my ult there miserably, like I've been doing all game. And I don't even know what's happening, honestly. I just tunnel visioned this entire fight. My teammates could probably tell you better. But after that, we were all right, we don't need to chase Mundo. We can just do Baron. And I'm wow, we killed 3 of them. I didn't even notice. So I probably need to work on my tunnel vision a lot. It's been pretty bad lately. And other than that, we just won from there.
So how's the in the new season, how's the top lane sort of champion pool working for you? I know you were a big Jace player in the last season. He seems to have kind of gone away. How are you just feeling about top lane right now?
Specifically for this patch, it's all been about Siobhan and Mundo, and maybe some other picks such as Yasuo top or maybe Nasus top against certain tops that can abuse. Let's say if you're Renekton and you make one mistake, then that Nasus is going to destroy that Renekton. Of course, that doesn't apply to everything. But other than that, top lane is mostly split pushing and applying pressure. So for the Shyvana Mundo matchup against Quas, my job is to out-CS him. My job is to out-pressure him and make sure I just do more in team fights until the point where he becomes unkillable late game. And if you mess up as Shyvana, it's there's Mundo, who's like god late game, and then there's Shyvana, who's even also god late game, but not as god late game as Mundo. And then there's like Renekton, who's like not really late game, but can beat both of those. And then after that, it's like everyone else.
Yeah. How does Nasus fit into that trinity? Because he's kind of like right on the cusp, I feel like.
You put him wherever you want. You just have to have a team that works well with him and a player that knows how to play him well. And like, let's say if they have double AD and you build Frozen Heart, you're just going to be pretty unkillable. Nasus against Mundo, Nasus can free farm.
We saw that in a game.
Yeah, Nasus can free farm against Mundo. Nasus can free farm against Shyvana. Nasus can't free farm as well against Renekton, depending on if it's a 2 versus 1 swap where one of the laners get screwed over, or it just depends on who you're against. And usually Nasus has a pretty easy time because he'll have 6% lifesteal and he'll be able to last hit easy with TP. He just won't have any pressure early game.
Okay, so actually a follow-up on that with the top lane pool, though. We've seen, so actually Crepo said in your chair right there yesterday that Inok's been playing a lot of squishy top laners, guys like Yasuo, and carrying games with that. We saw Quas with top lane Karthus the other day. Have you seen any of these off-meta picks? How have they been working out in your eyes?
For the Yasuo, I've actually, out of like 15 games I played against Zion Spartan, I lost every single one of them in scrimmages. So I was expecting him to pull that out, and he's really good at that. Yasuo is, if he can just farm and get really strong, he can do lots and lots of unexpected damage. Like, his ultimate has tons of armor penetration. He'll outlane you if you don't have Ignite. He just has unexpected damage. Like, he's just a new champion you're not used to, and you're used to just hitting the other top liner for like 5 hours instead of him being like hitting you for like 2 hours, you know.
And then you die.
Yeah, and then I die.
Yeah.
And we actually have Coast coming up in our final matchup of the day. You were actually surprised that Coast had such a slow start to the LCS. How do you think they're going to do now in their final game of the week?
I feel like they're just easing in right now because I expected them to go like 4-0, 3-1, but I was quite surprised. Not other people who expected them to do bad, but I feel like if they just shake off their land jitters, then they'll do very, very well against XDG.
All right, Dyrus, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on your 3-1. Tied for first place finish so far in the first week.
Yay.
And, of course, we'll see you guys throughout the rest of the spring split. Thank you very much. Now, guys, we're going to send it back across the studio to Riv and Kobe at the caster's desk for the next game.
Thank you very much, Freak. And while we've come to our final LCS game with XDG facing off against Coast, it's probably going to be a good one just as the rest.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of excitement after XDG's debut game because Smithy and Zuna both played well in their new roles.
Yep.
But they did cool off in their next games, which is not surprising because it takes a while to really get into a new role and adapt to the small changes that you have to play the role for a while before they're actually second nature to you.
All right, absolutely. But Coast fought back from a rough early game to win against Evil Geniuses. Wiz Fusion had 3 deaths within the first few minutes. Yeah, first one each minute. We saw that. I think he was pulling his hair out.
That was painful to watch. The first blood and then the return to lane. First blood ×2. But you're right. They were able to come back. Zion, Spartan, and Shifter really helped carry that team. The solo lanes were doing a great job. They were split pushing, grabbing kills. Amazing score there from Shifter as well.
You saw LeBlanc right on him there in the lower third. We'll think that'd be banned out this game. Let's check out the starting lineups here. On the blue side, it is XDG. In the top lane is Benny, Zuna in the jungle, ManCloud in mid, Xmithy now at AD carry, and Bloodwater on support.
And on the red side, it's Team Coast. Zion Spartan's up top. In the jungle, it's Nintendude, and Shifter is mid. Wiz Fusion is the AD carries, and supporting is Daydreamin'.
I wonder how much crap they're going to give him, just kind of jokingly, like, don't walk by that brush when you go to lane.
Oh, he's going to be
Don't do this.
scared
Be
of that bush
Be like,
for
hey,
a
Wiz, they have a
while.
Thresh. You might want to watch out.
He's laughing right now. He can hear you. Yes, they're making fun of me.
It's always good to have that camaraderie. That you can. It's kind of like Double Lift and Afro, where they're like, we don't yell at each other, ever.
Never. Because love is in the air when they're
Because love
playing.
is absolutely in the air. So we're figuring that LeBlanc's going to be banned out for Shifter here. He is a little too good at roaming. He figures out when to do it perfectly. He does it with the waves, and he kind of keeps track of more than just his own lane when he does it.
Shifter is a really strong individual player. He's was second on the challenger ladder. He's extremely high. He has a whole bunch of
Yep.
ults up there as well. He plays a lot of different champions in the mid lane.
We haven't seen him get Ziggs back yet.
He can roam with, yeah, exactly. He can roam with any of the popular assassins. LeBlanc right now, though, does seem to be a huge threat for a lot of these teams. Since they banned out Riven, he might not be going for that LeBlanc because we already seen how well it can do against that champion.
Right. It's going to take it out and help force that ban as well. Still looking to see Elise be left out. Nintendo like to use that, but maybe they'll force Zuna onto it. It wasn't his mechanically best game, and he went 6-0-15 on Olaf and then had that Elise game, and it's kind of flip-flop.
Nintendo's been having a little bit of a rough time. Zuna's also lately in the last couple games having a bit of a rough time. So I think that the junglers in this game are actually going to determine a lot. Whichever one is able to turn their LCS debut around, or their LCS their first week around, because if they can get one of the lanes ahead, then that would be huge, especially if it's a solo lane for Coast. We already talked about how the solo lanes really can snowball the rest of the map.
That Renekton being taken out, Zuna does decide to grab the Elise. Zion Spartan had quite the Nasus game recently. He was 3v1ing at one point in that top lane. We'll see if they put that in priority, but it looks like it's Daydreaming, grabbing up that Thresh to keep the nightmares away from Wiz.
Yeah, so last time it was Nasus into the Mundo because Mundo early aggression isn't quite there and can't really bully Nasus and stop him from farming up that Q. Shyvana can do a lot better
A little more rush
against him early, so I probably won't see that pick again from Zion unless he's extremely confident in that early game play.
What will be the focus next? See the Shyvana and Thresh is all the XDG has to look at right now. With the Elise pick, they feel comfortable that Zuna will be able to add a little early game pressure. So it's all about having lanes that, you know, will be able to win if he's not able to make it. And TSM really capitalized on that last game. It was pretty big.
All right, so they pick Leona into the Thresh. A lot of people, especially Crepo, has been pretty outspoken. He likes the Thresh counter to Leona. He thinks, you know, at least a soft counter because of the fact that you can't flare out, over initiates. But a lot of people, regardless of the Thresh pick, have been going Leona into it anyway because it's not a hard counter and like you really have to time that play well. Plus, there's still more options for her. Solar Flare, you can land that from a long distance and then combo starting with that, or you can just get in there for the flash stun to initiate. And it's really a toss-up here in the bottom lane.
I would love to see an MF, just to see it.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. Cop used to play it all the time, but everybody knows that. Yasuo was left open, and he's been quite scarce today.
So the only displacement that they have
At
right
least in the
now
game.
is the Shyvana. So I'm expecting another champion to combo with that Yasuo. I mean, Vi would be an amazing pickup. I don't know if they were 100% going to go for this Yasuo pick. I don't really see the reason why they didn't pick up Vi here. I mean, the jungler for XDG is already picked, but
Maybe
so
they're
is
down
the,
with running the
so
trouble
is the
too.
AD carry. So I guess with both of those positions already being picked, they're not worried about it. There's still like a small chance that you can send your Elise into a solo lane though, and still take away that Vi to jungle with. Don't know if that would be
Hasn't been, it's
throwing
been quite
you
a
off way
while
too
since
much
we've seen the
just
lane
to take
lease.
that away from the combo.
ManCloud did quite love that Xerath, but Xmithy loves it too. So we'll see if they swap. That would be great. Please do it. But I don't think they're gonna. We are gonna see the Kale coming out here, and that is not gonna be fun for Shifter if that's his Yasuo.
Coast are thinking the
Then
exact same thing that I was thinking. They're thinking
Oh.
why they're probably going to lock in a Vi to combo with this Yasuo because they need more knockups and stuff. What's great against Vi? I'm going to get the Kale. It's kind of counterpicking the Vi even before it's picked. Turns out Coast are saying, no, we don't need any more knockups. We don't need any more displacements. Yasuo can do it for himself, or Shyvana might be able to grab somebody. That's plenty.
Saw a little bit of Inox Yasuo. Now Zion Spartan maybe the one to take him into top lane. Shifter, he's our roamer. I believe he's going to stay on Italy for this one.
Probably will stick as is. I mean, a jungle Shyvana is a bit different here. So they won't have that early bullying on Mundo. It's going to be up to Zion on his Yasuo that Darius just said he's lost to over and over and over again in scrims. So if Yasuo even is able to get like one crit early on Mundo, he's going to be able to shove him out of lane, I think. Usually Mundo has to play really defensively at the beginning anyway, and Yasuo, fairly aggressive champions. So what he's going to have to worry about is getting ganked.
We'll have to see what they have. Let's quickly check in with who you think is going to win, because we care, and you guys voted, so we're going to check it out. In the last NALCS victory of Week 1, it's 73% to XDG as you voted on LOLesports.com.
Not a lot of believers in Coast right now. I actually do have a lot of confidence in that Zion Spartan top lane Yasuo if he doesn't give up a kill in the first 7 minutes to the jungle gank.
With the way that XDG picked and bringing in the Kale last instead of something else, they have quite an AP-heavy team. Lucian's really the only one to be bringing the AD there, and hopefully it's going to be enough.
I mean, it's plenty of an AD threat right there, just having Lucian, because his combos are so potent in the late game. When he does even get Trinity Force on top of that, it's a lot of good burst from AD. But we've talked about how ridiculous Kale gets in the late game when she adds that extra AP skilling of a Lich Bane. So the late game here looks really good for XDG, and we'll have to see if Coast can actually get rolling a bit earlier. They do have the poking of Nidalee to fall back on, though.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, to round out our first Super Week here, before we start the NA Challenger Series, it is going to be XDG versus Coast. They are under the Rift, facing off against each other. You just saw on the big screen here. If you're live with us in the studio, you guys are awesome. See what happens here as they all head towards the top side. This is different. They're not lining up, but watch, I say that, and they're all just going to spread out.
So there's a couple things here. Deep utility for XCG. They're ahead in gold right now. Bloodwater probably getting that extra mastery. He also has started with the Targon's plus ward with his extra gold. So a deep invade, they could actually place their long ward inside this red jungle and get the classic... Uh-oh. Can we get that fog of war? Yeah. It'll tip him off a little bit. But there was a lot they put into getting that ward. I mean, he went full deep utility and just got the one ward plus his Targon. We'll have to see if they can actually make something happen. That it might be like a late invade on the top side because they're switching. It would be successful because Coast are not switching either.
I like Zion Spartan's play, not the bush. He's given himself a bit of viewing area. That cleaver would have hit him.
This is the same bush, just the opposite side of the map.
That's so true. They don't have Thrush, so it's not going to work as well. We'll see Coast heading down towards the bottom lane, and they're trying to produce just about the same thing. It's only ManCloud and Shifter that aren't participating in these invades, but it doesn't look like anyone's going to find each other anyway.
I think Wiz is like, oh, you know, the Thresh late invades there really got me last time. Let's go ahead and pull that move off. I like that move.
So from not seeing, or I'd say hardly seeing any invades coming in through this weekend, we have both teams just instantly in each other's jungle here having a party. Going to be the simple steal Kobe, and they'll be back to it.
Yeah, that's actually going to be, pretty good for Zuna. As the newer jungler, usually it's a little bit harder for him to deal with early invades. But since he was guaranteed starting at least his blue buff, he should be okay there on the Elise. The red taken without him, so that means that Smithy is going to have a whole bunch of bully potential up in this top lane.
And I believe Benny also has a red right now as he teleports down to that bottom lane. They fed him that in the top lane.
Yeah, they gave it to Smithy there. The Lucian's wearing it.
Oh,
or he was wearing it.
Very good. Did not see that on the screen. I was looking down at the mini-map. So that's going to be quite big and makes that solo lane even harder. You see Zion Spartan not even heading to the lane.
Yeah,
hang out.
Yasuo, actually, some people do jungle him. He's got the potential for jungling power. He can actually clear out camps that are spread out like the Rays pretty easily because he can dash to each one of them.
Well, 3 in the bottom lane. Deja vu here as they're going to try to pressure down on this turret very hard, and it will be answered. It's not going to be Zuna trying to come down and 2v1 this lane. Nobody's really giving it any attention, so back and forth. Mirror those turrets.
And that extra red buff there on Smithy, he hasn't been able to shoot any champions yet. It hasn't really benefited them at all. Even though it was a good steal away, they don't get any extra damage out of it. And meanwhile, down bottom here, Jinx is a great even early tower pusher because she can get attack speed from that minigun.
It's always nice having a free steroid that just comes up on you for auto attacking. So the gold lead will be evened out with the taking of the other turret. You see Trinkets on cooldown somewhat because this is going to cause them to start pressuring in We kind of talked about this before. Hopefully you don't go beyond their means. They're trying to grab this quick gold and pressure the rest of the map.
It's interesting that XDG keep going for this, too. When you do the 2vs1 swap, you make it so the early lane phase, you don't have to play that out with your AD carry, and it changes the jungle a lot, too. So both these guys that just switched roles don't really have to do a long laning phase in their new role.
Are you mad lifing Daydream? He's trying.
And they switch
He's
it up.
trying
We've
his
seen a
hardest.
lot of people actually fail at this. What you're supposed to do is as soon as the dragon turns its head to attack a different target, whoa, man, Cloud.
Then you go for Man Cloud. That's what you do. You're supposed to go for the Kale in the middle. The spears are missing. They get the ignites down, and they get out with this. But this is giving XDG a little positioning here on the dragon. Yasuo is still top lane. Let's see if they go for it.
That was almost a first blood for Man Cloud right there.
Yeah.
Shifter flashes in to heal Daydreamin' and save his life.
All right. Looks like they're a little, not confused, but miscommunicating on
Real
this.
dangerous.
Very dangerous. Oh, a nice job. They go for the flash in. He does get the Zenith Blade. They're going very hard on this. The Ignite is down. Nintendo is taking away. The Ignite stops, though. Not enough damage, and everybody is limping away from this fight.
Sion again, or Shifter again with the heals here. Running out of mana on Nidalee just because he keeps saving teammates.
Good fight. A little bit of 1v1 in the top lane as Xmithy and Spartan go toe-to-toe. He wants to get back into that and
minions
use
are
the
there.
dash. I don't think Xmithy's going to have too much on this. A great weight on the barrier. It just sits there, and Zion Spartan, gets in range with the flash, and he picks himself up. First blood after all that fighting.
Expertly played by Zion.
Yeah.
He's able to chase Smithy knowing there's a minion wave coming right down the lane. That enables Yasuo to chase because he has unlimited dashes. He can chain them through the minion wave that's coming, which also ups the damage on his dash. And like you said, waiting out the barrier, just pretty much all around. Beautiful play there from Zion.
We have even gold around the map. A little bit of a lead from that kill escalating it. But right now, these guys are completely neck and neck. We do see Shifter has been focusing all the fights around him. We had a few clutch heal saves from him, so we'll see if more big things come from those Nidalee spears.
Yeah, looking at the...
Just CS.
Yeah, looking at the end game, the Nidalee spears will be a good factor for them. They can always fall back on the poke game.
Yeah.
But I'm liking just the Yasuo-Shyvana combo more and more now because the range on a Yasuo ult is 1,300.
Right.
So even if Shyvana goes for a very, very long range engage, as long as she displaces somebody on the back line,
You're good to
he'll
go.
be able to teleport over there and get inside with his ultimate.
Activating his E, trying to get a bit of splash damage onto Shifter, waste out that mana on the heals. Ward's going out, so it looks like Shifter keeps himself safe, depends on staying in this lane, or plans on, I should say, staying in this lane for a little bit longer. And we look down at the bottom lane now. Xmithy and Bloodwater seem to have good pressure on this turret, but it doesn't look like Wiz Fusion and Daydreamin' are in any trouble right now.
Excuse me there, sorry.
Excuse.
There was so much early action around the bottom there of that dragon. Here comes in another dragon down bottom.
That level 6 to level 4, that's not what you want in the top lane. And here we have 3 members surrounding Bloodwater. He's going to go ahead and walk the other way and save his AD carry.
So the lantern gank right there, that was Daydreamin' throwing it back for Nintendo, able to get in range, and probably had to at least land one of those skill shot CCs to get that one.
Absolutely, whether it was the
successful.
chompers or the hook, they got him in there and they got him good. So we do see a little bit of assistage, if you will, going to Nintendo. Daydreamin' picking those up. Wiz Fusion now with the kill in his favor. So he's feeling a little bit better this game, and it seems that last game really didn't affect him. He's got a clean mind on it.
Yeah, he's kept his head in the game.
Yeah.
He's got a nice CS lead.
Yeah,
And
he does,
that,
actually.
That versus a Lucian here, as Jinx is going to be extremely confident. The turret being down means they can extend their ward coverage into this bottom side of the map and further cement their control around Dragon. So this slight gold lead that they have very early, they can turn that into the Dragon objective because Nintendo on Shyvana, very adept at tanking that thing up even early in the
Right.
game.
Look at Shyvana. Nintendo will be going back possibly to finish that golem or just pick up a little bit of health in that ruby. He gets actually the Kindle, so he'll be have that cooldown for himself as well. Not too much action coming from the junglers after they got that first kill. Everybody's kind of waiting for ults and flashes to come back up. We'll see after they give this to Shifter if the roam begins.
So a Nidalee mid lane, when you see that as a jungler, you're not usually looking at that lane for potential ganks because she doesn't have CC to set you up. But what it does bring is a lot of sustain and constant threat from the mid lane. Like Shifter, it'll be very hard to push him out of this lane, especially since he's got his blue buff now. He can continually heal and throw out the spears. If he lands multiple spears in a row, then it gives them that control that they're looking for around the dragon area.
Shifter just playing it safe. The mentality of that game right now. He knows he doesn't want to pressure it, but the rest of the team trying to get in there to help Shifter and then get that kill. Like you were saying, it's not just going to be him.
And the good job here by Coast setting up the ward coverage. They do have the pink wards inside and out of the dragon pit, and they're having Nintendo come down, level 6 Shyvana, tanking up the dragon like we expected. Now they just have to pull off the smite because XDG are closing in.
Very nice lockup on that. Could not give Zuna the repel. Beautifully played by Daydream. And so they pick up the dragon coming in. We're going to see that around 15 to 16 minutes. Coast has that timer, but so does XDG. So guarantee yourself a fight.
Yeah, that's another thing that you're definitely going to hesitate on as a fresh jungler. Going for those dragon steals over the wall. It's a bit risky, and you need some practice. Look at this down in the bottom. Oh, okay, never mind. He just recalled. Back and playing it safe.
Never mind. It's okay. BF Sword coming out on the side of Wiz Fusion. Like we said, he's having a lot better game, and he's going to try to put the team on his back. The kills have been slow, but both of them on the map right now that we saw have been in favor of Coast. So they are definitely gaining the momentum they need. It's only a 600 gold lead, and XDG is doing a good job in the laning phase of keeping that in their favor. 103 to 65 in the mid lane in CS.
Yeah, Coast getting that dragon really helped them out a lot too. A big point now that's a power spike for Yasuo is getting that static shiv. Before he has that, it's just relying on his skills. We saw it in lane to outplay opponents 1v1. But man, once he gets the shiv, it really increases the power because that thing will crit, and he has double crit from his passive. Even though the damage on the crits is reduced a little bit, just that one item is a huge power spike for him, and he's already looking to make plays elsewhere on the map.
And usually you see a static shiv go to somebody who wants to push, but he kind of wants to be with the team for that fight initiation, yeah?
He's looking to back up this Thresh here. Being pulled into the fight with a Thresh Lantern would be a terrible surprise for any XDG member, even a Mundo.
I like the switch Nintendo to the top lane as Zion Spartan now trying to make use, like you said, of that static shift he just built up, trying to get that quick burst in power per where they are at in the game. It looks like Benny's going to be the first to feel this one, but he sees Zuna on the backside. A great lantern out, foreseeing that that could have gone bad.
Yeah, it was going to be a nice collapse here by XDG, trying to corner them inside the jungle, but the ward coverage very deep for Coast, and they do not overextend, able to get right back out.
Lots of bushwhacks in the mid lane for Shifter. It's like Bloodwater's going to make himself present. Eat a spear. Nice hands. Nice hands. And just pushing him off. This is going to give ManCloud time to stay in that top lane, but we said Nintendo, he is pushing it back, and right now it is control for XDG, so maybe they can focus mid now.
Biggest point of control for XDG is going to be wherever ManCloud is, because ManCloud is crushing it right now. Hard farming very well, and he's going to get that point. He finishes his Nasser's Tooth next. It will be good sustained damage. And once he gets the second item, it's that's where the burst really comes from.
And we got to say that CS lead is completely keeping Shifter from roaming. He can't fall behind anymore because the lanes aren't going to bring him kills. It's just not in that position. See, at 13 minutes in the game, 700 gold is still the lead for Coast. And they're not really letting that go. ManCloud eats a full range spear coming off of that little fog of war position from Shifter, and he... Okay, doubling up on that one, gives it to Zuna as well. I don't think they want any more of that. And they were in mid for about 2.5 minutes just now, and they said, let's stop.
Yeah, Zuna does not want that. He wants no part of that. He's put money into consumables. A couple more wards here, both pink and green wards bought up by this jungler. So he's going to be even more squishy than usual. And at least in human form, is already a very, very juicy target.
A little speed up on his heel. ManCloud is not going to pursue that just yet. He wants to see if Zion Spartan's going to stay anywhere close because it looks like ManCloud's pretty confident about taking him down.
Yeah, and he could have caught up because there's no boots here on Zion Spartan since he did rush into that static shift to try and get that power boost. However, Mandatory Cloud does not have the ward coverage to chase something like that, and he doesn't want to have his pursuit turned around on him.
So, being up in gold, why is it still that XDG is consistently pushing back Coast right now?
They don't have the greatest of siege potentials right now because Coast have a pretty good answer. And they have so much ward coverage, it's hard to make those rotations to catch Coast out of position. You can see how Mandatory Cloud is roaming and trying to make use of his large CS numbers that he's been able to accumulate, but Coast have done a very good job keeping up with the movements around the map, and they haven't been able to grab anything for themselves of note.
So they do put Zion Spartan. Even a teacher doesn't call him that. He has Zion Spartan in the top lane, and it looks like going back down to bottom to focus this. They know the minute is there for Dragon, so they're going to leave him up top and hopefully either trade one of these. No, Zion's going to back, so it looks like he will be there for the team.
All right, so blue buff on Italy. It's always a good thing. We talked about how much the control of blue buff was going to be pretty big in this game. Both of the mid laners grabbing theirs means that every spear that lands, ManCloud will be hard pressed to heal up.
Spider.
Yeah, Spider. He's not going to have to heal the little Spider. He'll give Zuna a heal, though. It's only about a third of the damage that the spears deal, though. The pink ward fight!
Bloodwater not taking too much damage there, and he doesn't have really any magic resistance under his belt just yet. This is, like I said, coming up on that 16.
So the one advantage that XDG do have is that their top laners got teleport. So they've sent the Mundo here, Benny, up to the top lane. Wow, hard engage, too early.
Oh, the intervention for ManCloud. Smithy would have loved that right there, but they were just forced into that situation. Rocket passing by the tail end of the entire team, and it looks like the teleport's coming in. Benny has the ultimate on, but he turns around immediately. Nintendo's going to spit out some flame, but it's not going to be enough. The team does not have the crowd control to follow.
I think that was the first time of the Shyvana ulti into the Yasuo ulti, and we didn't get to see it on screen. Pretty sure that was just Nintendo getting his Dragon's Descent displacement onto Smithy, which is the target they automatically want to go for, and then Zion not hesitating to follow it up. Yasuo ultimates, and he takes out the AD carry here for XDG, which awards them control over this dragon that they had pre-warded.
They have mid to worry about. Top is going to be very big for XDG in just a couple of seconds here. We'll see what Coast can do to mitigate any of this coming out. We'll see the buys just in the realm of HP really for the tanks. That's going on to Nintendo. We said they are going up against a heavy AP team, so we'll see how they factor that in here coming up on 20 minutes.
Yeah, we don't see the beginnings of the magic resist aura anywhere.
No. And Zion Spartan and Shifter are both super squishy in these fights, so it's not helping them that they have to group for some of these engagements.
I mean, Coast usually go with more offensive builds rather than building a lot of defense. They're not real big believers in tanks, but Nintendo's doing his best here. He is a jungler, so it's going to be a little bit slower to build up those heavy
He's
tank
farming
items.
his butt off, though. Zuna's at 58, 77, so that's good.
He's putting his money into direct health, which is a good idea on Shyvana since she does get a lot of resistances from her kit.
Can survive that first Q of Kale, but that second swing, sorry. 18 minutes is what it takes Zion Spartan to walk away from the turret. That's going to go down from the minions, but they will be able to grab that gold finally sitting in the top lane. Opens up a little bit more of the invade for them. Hopefully they can use it. They haven't been warding too much into XDG's jungle. It's all about getting their side back.
Zuna walking real close to those skill shots getting picked up. But since his team has the numbers in the area, it would have just been harassed. Coast not going to commit on something like that. It is a little bit of a window into the future, though. That's what this Coast team will be looking for down the road when they want these team fights and they siege up around a turret. They'll rely on that shifter poke, and then if a death sentence lands or one of those zaps lands, then you can combo it with the other one, and that will be the cue for Nintendo to try and get his displacement into the back line. And, you know, we already saw, or almost saw, Zion Spartan combo it.
See Benny coming down to help out with blue here. This is going to be contested out. Shifter trying to keep everybody from mid here, and they do have a nice separation on XDG, but they don't exactly have the room to get into the fight if that connected. Great jab, great javelin onto Zuna though, so they can grab ground here in the jungle.
Zuna's having to chug a lot of potions here every time one of those spears does hit. However, the blue buff was acquired, so they were successfully able to defend that blue buff and get it onto ManCloud. So the heals will continue to come out. There's the flash.
As soon as Coast gets into the position to siege a turret, XDG says we aren't having any of it. They get a quick kill going on to Daydream, and Bloodwater will follow after in the 1-for-1 there.
Here comes Yasuo.
Teams kind of turning around on this. Benny and Yasuo, Zion Spartan and Benny coming into the fight. There's Zion Spartan's full damage build. Tries to get out the damage for himself, goes down. That shutdown going over to Zuna, and it looks like they're following as much as possible to harass down Coast.
That has to be miscommunication there. Zion diving into the Kale, who has her invulnerability still. There's got to be some miscommunication there. You need to tip off your team members.
Yeah.
If you see Zion looking for that dive to finish off a low health member, somebody's got to yell at him that Kale's got her ulti still.
As soon as they went to start sieging that turret, all in.
Okay, so that was a great initiate, and it's going to end up trading supports because when Leona engages, she's an all-in engage. But like we said, ManCloud still has his ulti left, so as Zion comes in, he's ready to use it. Maybe there's the off chance that Zion was hoping he could just surprise ManCloud, and ManCloud would not be able to react in time, but usually they don't count on those things, and I think that might just have been a little bit of lack of communication.
Yeah. They had the wards in the top side of the jungle. Just a little too much tunneling as they got into the fight. We'll see if they can shake that off and bring it back to where they were. They still got damage onto that mid turret throughout the fight. We'll see what they can do as they continue on to the mid lane. It seems like they are trying to group up, use Nidalee a little bit more, because Shifter, as we said, he was kind of put down there by ManCloud and mid throughout this game. It's not his LeBlanc game.
There was a lot of weird business going on with those early Dragon fights, and Shifter kept having to use a lot of his resources to save team members.
Yep.
A lot of mana and his flash were dumped into saving both Daydream and Intendude in a couple of different picks. So he did have other things on his mind. But ManCloud
too much on your plate.
ManCloud's going to be a huge threat in late game because of that.
The kills so far for XDG are spread out across Zuna, and that's painful, and Bloodwater. Assists, though, there's still 2 assists on ManCloud. On Xmithy, they're getting the items that they require as the Triforce starts to come out in the hands of Xmithy. Look on the other side, and that Bloodthirster's actually been finished for quite some time for Wiz Fusion, and it's only been stacked. He hasn't died yet.
So Dragon coming up in 45 seconds. Means that both teams are trying to get vision around it now.
1, 2, 3, a 1-2 punch. There's the Dragon's Descent out. Was looking for that from Nintendude. So a little bit of ground being grabbed here by XDG. But again, Zion Spartan in the top lane trying to go toe-to-toe. Get a little too close there for his own good. And it looks like Benny is really going to be able to put down that AoE damage with Burning Agony. They both back off.
So he did use his ulti early there so that he could get the armor penetration to have favorable trades, auto attack trades after that.
Nice.
Nice fadeaway wall.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Draws some O's from the crowd, but he's still on the run.
Oh, this one's going to be good for Zuna. He is trying to get in there. They're doing a good amount of damage. He gets popped up. It's a 2v1 situation. He's trying to buy time. He flashes out of this one, though. His team is going to be going for Dragon, so however long he can stay alive, this is great for the team.
Can he get to
Wards
it?
for
Oh,
the
he can't
white.
touch it.
He got it, but it was going to be the red buff tick coming from Zuna. That's worth.
So he uses his flash to buy the extra time there, and the team does get Dragon. So the only question now is, can XDG capitalize on the power play afforded to them by this 5 versus 4 situation? Since they didn't have any minion waves pushed up, it'll be really difficult for them to actually get anything back, and you're right, it seems to be worth here for Coast.
Zion Spartan very close to an Infinity Edge, and that will surprise people on XDG, just like ManCloud is going to be doing to the members of Coast. A surprise right here. He could get a 3v1 that he's not looking for. A great grab by Daydreamin' as he tries to get himself out. Intervention's going to be down for a bit, and this may be Coast's chance to get back on that siege train.
Wiz Fusion, if he was half a step closer when they found that pick,
Right.
could have comboed those flame choppers. They were so close to arming and catching ManCloud there. It's interesting how, there's no real solid game plan from either of these guys towards the mid. I mean, they're going to want to concentrate on the blue buff so that Coast can fall back on their poke game, but the hard engage is there for XDG. So poking against a Leona, very dangerous.
Whoa, Bloodwater getting the flash and then the solar flare.
Whoa.
Benny is going to teleport into this one. He tries to get right in the middle of the fight. You can see the ward he teleported to almost going down, so it's been planned for a little bit that they were going to try this initiation. Just not all there in time.
Daydream spaces himself very well to put the box right on where the teleport is coming in. And Zion Spartan takes the opportunity to steal away blue buff. So that's a huge cooldown, not going to be available for XDG. Wow, he tried to give it away. That's bold. It was successful, though. So that's another point. Cooldown reduction is very, very ineffective on Yasuo because his Q scales with attack speed instead of cooldown reduction, and then his dash is already unlimited. So that's 2 spells right there that aren't going to benefit from it. And you don't really want to take that blue buff. If he had gotten it, then it would have been just stealing it away from ManCloud, which is great, but so much better to put that on Shifter.
That wave clear. Zion Spartan still doing a good job of being a nuisance in the top lane, always giving XDG something to think about. And Wiz Fusion here still guarding his bottom turret. The mid turret is still alive. Looking at XDG's side, and it seems like that's kind of put Coast on halt right now.
I mean, they've been building towards the exit strategy, which is this Talisman of Ascension on Daydreamin'. Now they actually have some movement speed to try and get away from this Bloodwater initiation. I talked about how dangerous it is to poke against a Leona. It's going to be something that they really need, that Talisman of Ascension, but it's very hard to rely on even just that movement speed because there are boosts on the other team as well. ManCloud can speed up individual players, and it's still a very tricky situation. They don't seem to be confident enough to stack up in front of a turret and play that game.
Talking about that attack speed, or you look at Wiz Fusion, he has that passive attack speed we talked about earlier, and he's been able to kind of prioritize Mercury treads over really going anything else to keep himself safe. We did say that XDG has quite a bit of AP on the team.
They've got quite a bit of AP, and they've got a Mundo who's getting extremely beefy and itemizing to deal with this Zion split push.
Yeah.
Zion got ahead pretty early on that Yasuo, and he's a very dangerous character, so it's what they've been using to split push because he can handle pretty much everybody 1 versus 1. Mundo here, Benny's been itemizing to try and deal with this, but he's still having a very tough time because Static Shiv does do magic damage, and after Zion uses his ultimate, he gets 50% armor penetration. So even all that armor doesn't help that much.
On to Nintendo. Dragon's Descent's going to have to come out, but he decides to go in and then back out of the fight. Huge damage from Wiz Fusion on the side. Xsmithy from the shadows throws out the culling, and it's going to bring them very low. Shifter saving people all day with those heals.
Another heal from Shifter. Oh, there goes the ulti.
Oh, Zion Spartan's going hard onto Benny, and it's going to be the turret probably following after. Zuna, you better be careful in this one. If he gets out of that cocoon, it's going to be bad news. Zuna taking a bit of damage there. The execute's down, and he does easily take down Zuna.
Yeah, so Zion can take anybody 1 versus 1, and he can also take multiple challengers here. ManCloud does get slow.
Oh, it catches it. Sometimes you got to fold your wings in when you're escaping.
Yeah, hit him in the back right there. I don't think he thought that was going to land, but
I didn't think it was going to land.
The zap slowed him just enough
yeah.
that Shifter was able to get the Deadeye right there. So this is what I was talking about before. It's hard to itemize against Zion. Even though Benny's stacking armor, all this magic damage from the crit of the Static Shiv and the armor penetration from his ultimate, he can just cut right through him.
Eating that right up, and we're going to see him pressuring down the mid lane here, getting that finally. This is going to help them to siege. Oh yeah, this is me, Joe Miller.
The tip of his wing. Yeah. Wow, that's the first week of the LCS, both of you guys.
28 minutes on this. Dragons are 3, Barons are 1 now for Coast. That's huge for them. This just means that they can sit back and let Shifter do what he needs to do, and Zion Spartan split push continuously.
Well, Zion finally has just definitively shown he can handle anybody that they send at him. So the split push strategy is what they're going to go with. It's classic Coast. I mean, they pretty much, that was their beginning strategy when they came into the LCS, was have Zion play one of these carry top laners and then split push for a very long time and just keep doing that over and over again until the rest of the team can just take a turret. And now they're really well equipped to do that. even though he doesn't have teleport, the rest of their team, we talked about the Talisman of Ascension and the Thresh Box, that's really good disengage that they can throw up if XDG try and force something on the 4-man squad while Zion is doing his work in the bottom lane by himself.
Well, he is doing work, and he's looking to do it a little bit more. Not even afraid of a 2v1 situation. He has to know that Xmithy is not there by himself, but he'll still take the chance. Going for that pure damage, he says, my first resistance item is a Guardian Angel, which means I just want to fight more. Coast sieging down on the turret
Zion
now.
in the jungle.
On the right side, Zion hits Bloodwater once and brings him down to half HP with a few auto attacks of the rest of the team, and a spear finding Mancloud as they try to re-enter.
All right, so the Talisman was used, though. So the speed boost, they got the disengage. It's hard for XDG to chase that because they just ran into 2 spears.
Spider save. That would have been big damage on Bloodwater. We just saw what happened when Zion Spartan hit him, and Bloodwater really doesn't have the magic resistance. Tons of it, at least. He got the Aegis for his team, which is helping, but Void Staff is going to be out soon for Shifter, and it's pretty much going to negate that.
Looks like it's going to be slow work for Coast here. They return to the 1-4 split push. They're going to have Zion clear out the top and make his way all the way back down.
Seeing Zion at the top. They're so unsure to go in on these fights, and they're using the pincer strategy so well from Shifter on the side.
Yeah, Coast are playing this very well. They're having Daydreamin sit really far back, so even though Nintendude is up in the face of the minion waves clearing, they can throw him a lantern from half a screen away and get him back to safety. They're just keeping this entire XDG team at their turret with just the 4-man squad and allowing Zion to go get his 1v1 opportunity while they just over and over keep throwing these spears with that blue buff empowered Nidalee. There's the 2 versus 1 though. This is a catch.
And they send Mancloud to do it as well. Zion's not going to look too good on this one. The intervention goes down. This is huge for the pressure in mid lane as well. Can he get the last few attacks?
He's got
the
GA.
Guardian Angel's there. The dash will be as well. Zuna a little heavy on the cocoon there, and it looks like he's going to dash back to the minions. Zion Spartan does it again, but he goes down in the end. They finally focus him enough. Low health bars for Benny and Zuna. They need to turn tide in this fight. Nintendude's going to stay, and so will the rest of the team. They keep sieging.
Even with the Guardian Angel though, it took a long time for the rest of Coast to rotate up top lane. Now they've got enough damage down that they could go on turret.
Nintendude easily getting in there. They throw it on the box. It does catch Bloodwater with the outside wall. He is too slow to get out. Benny and Zuna coming back with home guards, and it looks like they stave off from the rest of the fight.
Lot of very powerful spears coming from Shifter, but you have to give props to Wiz Fusion setting up multiple spears with his zap. Every time he slows somebody down, makes them an easy
awesome combo.
target for Shifter.
3 kills onto Zuna. He is the only one that's been racking it up for the team as he's trying to make things happen, but also the one capitalizing on these last kills, being the one that's able to chase. And we saw that happen last game. A little too much focus on dominate, not enough economy to the rest of the team. And you look on the other side, Zion Spartan really has been working that by himself. 5-3-0 comes from him 1v1ing, and that's been huge because Shifter's been able to stay in the mid lane and siege with the team, and they're really working this composition well.
Yeah, he was able to build himself up into a big enough threat that XDG were forced to send 2 people to deal with him.
Right.
And at this point, he had already passed the must combo of the Static Shiv and Infinity Edge, and he had gone for the 3rd item, GA. So it took them too long to kill Zion twice, and the rest of the team was able to rotate just in time, and they take out the inhibitor turret. It was going to be really big for them.
That Void Staff is locked in by Shifter. That's going to hurt a little bit more with those spears, but the Lich Bane is also done on the side of XDG, so their potential of objective taking after fights just got a lot bigger if they win a good one with the minion push.
And Zion's split push so easy now that he doesn't have to deal with a turret. It's an exposed inhibitor. There's going to have to be at least 2, if not 3 people to go stop him. XDG might even just give up that inhibitor and try and force something elsewhere.
Really clearly seeing the factor of winning a lane so hard. Zion Spartan is putting that on the table for everyone right now to see. And it allows his team to pressure, even want to get these hooks under the turret. It's not scaring them. Nintendude's pretty big right now, building that second Giants belt, going for his Randuins or Spirit Visage, whatever he decides to go into first. But they are ready to keep diving, and from the fog of war, Shifter is completely fine with participating each and every time with just his spears.
Coast, there's no reason to change the game plan. They just throw spears over and over.
They're dragging a few of these out. Great bait on the ultimates just by Daydreaming. They're very low, but they're still aggressing. The toe-to-toe, ManCloud cannot stand with Zion Spartan right now.
See, they left only one person to deal with Zion, and it means that he's going to be able to get to some inhibitor turret damage, but he's got to be careful of that burst because Lichbane has been completed.
50 seconds on both the Dragon and the Baron. Coast, you can see them somewhat backing off. This is going to be good. Zion wasn't going too hard. I was surprised he actually fought Kale with the GA down. I figured this would kind of be their slow window and then aggressive.
And what we could even see, since there's so many wards down from Coast, all over both sides of the jungle, is a sneaky Baron from them. If they just send 2 members over to do the Baron, they can take it down very quickly. They've already shown how well equipped they are to disengage. So if the rest of the team can sort of put this blockade up middle, then when Baron comes back up, they are well equipped to deal a lot of damage very quickly.
You see that XDG at some point switched to 3 sweepers as they were trying to gain back their jungle. Right now, trying to gain back the front side of their base. As Coast is really just going around the horn from that top to middle turret using Zion Spartan right now. So
the other good thing about the Coast team here, oh, they're going to give the blue buff over to Shifter. They don't have to panic steal it. Is that when you're going towards Baron, you want to try and contest Baron, you have to go through one of these 2 small passages. So Shifter really has an easy time of shooting XDG as they run down the passage.
Completely, that's under 50%. He just took a huge chunk. And even Benny is taking damage from close range spears. Usually you want to get in on that Nidalee so they don't hurt as bad, but it doesn't matter anymore. They are super powerful. The Baron is being stuck.
Yeah, Shifter's running interference right now, just throwing out spear after spear after spear, and he's going to be a one-man defense for this Baron squad.
This is going to be a tough push for XDG to stop here, Kobe. They don't have much to work with, and being split push, like you said, they're going to have to give up more than 2 people, and that's what pretty much every member with Baron counts as Coast right now.
And again, they just return. Zion, go back to the top lane, shove it all the way in. You'll eventually be able to get that inhibitor as the rest of the team sets up with the same sort of lines here.
Ooh. Oh, what a bro move. Smithy getting the gap closer in there. Whoa, almost caught that spear as well. They get a lockdown onto Benny. They're not afraid to grab the tank with the hook. That's the second time they've gotten Solar Flare just out of grabbing Benny with Death Sentence.
The spears are definitely doing their part right here. So much poke from the 4-man squad of Team Coast. Their only frontline Nintendo is able to soak up any damage, and like we said, they have the lantern to pull him out if he gets stuck.
2 ultimates down there, and that's through Mundo's ultimate. That's enough for Nintendo X to dive to the backline. Bloodwater eats the spear as well, and it's an instant death for him. The Guardian Angel of Zion Spartan is up, so they can go even harder than necessary. The dash is there. No, he flashes. The double. Can he keep going? Oh, the turret's got him on lockdown, and so does Mundo. But they lock it down. Wiz Fusion coming up big on, actually the spear rather, coming up big on that. A double kill in for Shifter. They look for the Nexus turrets. An amazingly well-coordinated game by Coast. They stick with the initial strat and come out with the victory in the end of the day.
Well-deserved win for Coast right there. They had the long game plan of getting Zion super fed and just sticking with that split push, while the 4-man squad was very well equipped to play the poke and disengage game.
That was a scary, scary Zion Spartan in that game. Knowing what he could do, and you look at the levels and you're like, we're at 14, we're at 15, maybe he'll fall off. Then you get to 16 and 17 and he was still putting out extreme pain. They were so far ahead, and it shows that if Yasuo gets ahead, you're going to have a good game.
I mean, Dyrus did just talk about it right before in that interview.
Absolutely.
They've lost over and over to Zion's Yasuo up top. They just showed right here on the big screen that he can perform under pressure as well.
The ability to keep your mindset on the same thing is something that players will have said before and claimed that sometimes your team just needs to tell you again. And a team can get disgruntled with the Nidalee push. Sometimes you go Cougar form and you want to jump in. Your Nidalee doesn't stay on the outside of the fog of war, but Shifter had one job that game, and he literally did it the entire time. Even though in lane he lost, but still stayed for his team and played superb.
I really like the formation of the 4-man squad too. They had Shifter in the fog of war, and then Nintendo's on the front with Daydreaming and Wiz Fusion right behind him, so they can pull him back to safety. It was a really well set up little 4-man squad.
Yeah, we can say Wiz Fusion had a better game this time. Didn't get killed twice going to lane. Actually was able to get himself, not the first blood, but was able to pick up a few kills as they went towards that. And for Daydreamin', those hooks at the end of the game were powerful, pulling out solar flares every time, and they were grabbing Benny. It was like you could see that XDG was kind of feeling the pressure, and they were biting at anything they could, and it caused them some problems.
It was just this over and over the disengages from Coast, even though it's not the flashiest of moves. Like, that's really what got them that game, though. Nobody got caught. Yes, they had a super fed Zion up top, and Zion was doing so much work,
right,
and he deserves the credit. But they also, the rest of the team, they were able to keep it together.
You didn't get to see ManCloud roam that much either. That was a little bit of a different game for both mid laners. We didn't see him having much participation other than fighting each other in the mid lane up and towards the middle. So we can kind of see what that composition does of having a Yasuo creating pressure in the top lane and then Wiz Fusion doing a little better in the bottom for his team. Really makes you play differently.
He still got to that very powerful kill point where he was putting
true.
a lot of damage. And he blocked that one dive from Zion with an intervention on himself, not quite expecting it. But right from that, like, besides those plays, there wasn't that much coming out.
Looking again at some of the picks, Zuna to get Elise, it wasn't the factor of his Olaf again. I think teams are going to start seeing this. It's not that he played it poorly. He didn't make huge mistakes. That one time he tried to get the kill on Zion, you know, anybody would have thought he could get that kill. It was a toss-up skill match, but Zion was way too far ahead at that point by levels and items. So it just went kind of down the drain.
Dealing with a Yasuo who's got Infinity Edge plus Shack Shiv is a very scary thing because, as Dyrus said, all this damage comes from nowhere. You think that the crit is lucky for Yasuo, but it's not lucky at that point.
Right.
They're at 100% crit because Static Shiv and Last Whisper plus the 5% from your runes doubles up to 100, and that's every hit. That's not luck at all.
I really thought it was going to be a problem that they weren't going to be able to shut down Kale or at least say, oh my god, we're not building enough magic resistance because of the AP team, but it didn't become a factor because they were just too strong the entire time. So 3 days ago, these standings were a blank slate, but the season is well underway now with 16 games down, so let's go ahead and see how they all stack up after a day of upsets. In first place, it's a tie with Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid going 3-1.
Then it's a four-way tie for third with CLG, Coast Curse, and Team Dignitas.
And tied for 8th place is Evil Geniuses and XDG, ending the week at 1-3. Now, Kobe, let's take a look at impact players who turned in sterling performances at their respective positions.
All right, so let's just say off the bat, get this out there. It wasn't an easy decision for everybody.
Right.
A lot of topsy-turvy games today. Everything, kind of, we just saw in the standings.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of gone amok.
Right.
But we had some top men vote on this.
Absolutely. Heated discussions were had. We crunched the numbers. We poured over some of the footage to see what happened. And we're happy to honor Week 1's 5 OP.
All right, in the top lane, we have Cloud9. All week, Balls was in command. And on a team of stars, sometimes he's easy to overlook. But he's there rocking the top lane, and he deserves this spot.
Absolutely. From Dignitas, we're looking in the jungle now. Crumbs is our OP jungler for this. His shot calling that turned their week around with an upset win over the #1 ranked Cloud9. And that game didn't just look good. It looked really good for them.
It did. Then over in the mid lane, we have Shifter from Team Coast. Especially just in that last game, he's proved himself a threat and a leading mid laner here in North America. He's leading in KDA, and we saw him pull out so many clutch heals to save his teammates. There's got to be some sort of medic award that we can give to him as well.
It's the fast fingers. It comes from LeBlanc. OP in the ADC position, we have Wild Turtle from Team Solo Mid. This week, Wild had a heavy impact in the lane, and it really helped turn the tide in team fights for TSM.
Got to give credit to the AD carries
Always.
as well. Then, in the bot lane, CLG's Afro Moo takes our support. He derailed Curse by stealing that blue buff at level 1 with an auto attack that helped CLG end the week 2-2. We can't get over that steal enough because that was just ridiculous.
Even Hotshot, he didn't blow flash or anything. He just, boop, just took it out. But at the end of the day, Kobe, there can only be one MVP. Would you do us the honors of announcing that?
Well, making a strong debut in his first week in the North American LCS is the European imports, Bjergsen. We're going to have to give the MVP over to him.
Absolutely. Bjergsen had a huge impact in each game. Helped steer his team to 3-1 for the week and tying them in first for Cloud9. Not too shabby.
He was repeatedly able to shut down the mid lane with his LeBlanc and his roaming Zed.
Yeah.
And currently, he's the least deaths in the North American LCS, with only 2.
Absolutely. Don't forget, Week 2 of the EU LCS kicks off on Thursday, starting with Millennium versus Alliance.
Then, upstart Rokat takes on Super Hot Crew. After that, Copenhagen Wolves will do battle with Millennium, followed by Gambit facing off against SK Gaming.
Indeed. It all kicks off at 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Then, in the North American LCS, we will be back next Saturday, starting with Crumbs and Dignitas taking on Zuna and XDG. Then we have Coast challenging Team Curse for a little first week payback.
After that, Evil Geniuses face off against Dignitas. Then Bjergsen and TSM take on Hotshot GG and CLG.
And that all kicks off on Saturday at noon Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Central European Time. All right, that does it for Week 1 of the 2014 North American LCS Spring Split. But before we send it over to Freak and Jat for the NA Challenger Series, remember, check out LOLesports.com for the latest stats, teams, infos, and recaps.
If you missed any of today's action, click on the schedule, hit the match details button below the games to watch.
And while you're there, be sure to click on the tickets link and secure your spot in our live studio audience for an in-person dose of our game day action. And without further ado, let's send it over to Jat and Freak.
Hey guys, welcome to the show here. Freak here, Jat here. Got NA Challenger coming on. Welcome to the 2014 Challenger Series, brought to you in part thanks to our friends at Coca-Cola. I am David Freak Turley. I already called you Jat, but I felt like saying it again because we're back.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just like when I say your name a whole bunch?
Freak, Jat, our names.
Freak,
I'm
Jat.
used to hearing it.
Yeah,
Some
me too.
people call me Josh.
Some call me David.
It's much more rare. I think everyone calls you Freak or Turley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rarely get my own first name
Yeah.
from my own friends. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're here to bring you the games, guys. We got 2 coming up. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, guys. Okay, so Challenger matches coming up. First off, we got Curse Academy playing in here. They just beat Complexity Academy to get in this one. It's going to be fun. And, of course, they're taking on No Big Deal. After that, Tint Gaming faces off against NK Inc., Evaniscus, and Skyline.
Yeah, that's actually the games that happened yesterday that were just up on the screen. We do have the games Freak just mentioned on the audio if you're listening. The winners of tonight's matches will not only lock down a spot in the Challenger Series quarterfinals, they'll be guaranteed a chunk of cash, but most importantly, it's the Challenger Series points that they're playing for.
Exactly. That's how you get into the LCS promo tournament. So speaking of the quarterfinals, let's check out that Challenger Series bracket. That's the important part. On the top half of the bracket, it's the Spring Promotion Tournament participant, the Walking Zed. They will face off against the winner of tonight's Tint Gaming versus Skyline Throwdown.
Yeah, and the second quarterfinal matchup features last night's 2 winning squads, which is the Chinese powerhouse LMQ, which has moved over to the States, and the team Waiso Esports, who actually pulled off a big upset last night when they took out the top seed Cognitive Forge.
And, of course, in the bottom half of the bracket, another Spring Promo Tournament participant, Determined Gaming, will take on the winner of tonight's other battle between Curse Academy and No Big Deal, while Cognitive Gaming, who also got a participation ribbon in the Spring Promo Tournament, will face off against VVV Gaming White.
Yes, and remember, the top 3 teams in the Challenger's first Spring Series will automatically earn a berth in the second Spring Series. The teams who didn't quite make the cut will also get another chance to make their LCS dreams come true with another round of play-in games at the end of February.
Yeah, and of course, as always, you can get all the Challenger Series info by heading over to the brand new LOLesports.com. It looks almost as good as Shoutcasters Invests.
Yeah, just call out yourself a little bit. That's fine.
I look sexy,
Nobody knows.
Jat.
And just pull down the menu under the Leagues and Tournaments tab. You can choose the NA Challenger Series, and then you find stats, schedules, and everything else.
Okay, guys, let's get to it. The first Challenger Series of the night, Curse Academy versus No Big Deal. And remember, the winner gets a spot in the quarterfinals. The top 8, they get at least 1 Challenger Series point and the chance to play for more here on their way for an LCS spot.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we got to see Curse Academy. It's definitely some familiar faces we're going to have here. Rux, as always, is on Curse Academy, seemingly forever in college, unfortunately for that guy. He's graduated a few times to the LCS, but then he always gets sent back down. He is a quality top laner, though. He's most comfortable in that role.
Yeah, and actually the players that I really like to watch as well on the rest of this lineup is got to be Fabi and Jaximus, the AD carries in the mid laner. A lot of you guys who follow the North American scene know Fabi as the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper Challenger.
Yeah, you don't
There's
get
a video about that once.
You don't get in Challenger unless you beat Fabi, at least.
Yeah.
Or
unless
he doesn't
you're like
throw
that guy,
on your team.
Unless you're like that guy who was the first Challenger in the world.
Yeah.
That came from EU West.
Yeah.
He was really happy about it.
Yeah,
Played
I mean,
a lot of League of Legends.
I remember Reginald and I think it was Wicked battling for first person to get Platinum back in Season 1.
Hotshot and Wicked, I thought.
Maybe.
Could have sworn it was Hotshot and Wicked.
Okay. One of those guys,
Real
though.
throwback,
One of
yeah.
the guys who were like OP in Season 1 back in NA. And then he got like 2,200, but it was like 22-22
22.
was the cutoff, and he was like super mad that it wasn't a round number. And so Wicked beat him to it, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Wicked would remember.
Wicked would remember. We could ask him over on the EU LCS when we see him on Thursday. But guys, champ select beginning. Kale and Kha'Zix banned away from no big deal. Gragas, Yasuo dropped away. Jax was a great Gragas player. Jungle Elise in the mid-cast and also removed here.
Yeah, so normally I'd be like, oh yeah, first pick Elise because that's what we saw most of today. Obviously Elise is banned away this time, so Annie is fairly popular. I think Fabi always loves to play very aggressively in lane, to say the least. And I think Annie would enable that type of support play the most from anything that they'd be able to throw out if they're Curse Academy. If I had to predict a first pick.
You think Annie?
Or Shyvana, because that's what they're hovering
Or
over.
Shyvana. Yeah, okay, that one. As I look over and back to chat's like, or Shyvana. You're right. It's totally on the screen right there. First pick Teemo, also a great option. And you're right about the Annie pick in general in that was actually CA's last lane was Annie Caitlyn when they got their win in the prior round. So no big deal. Their own time to make some choices. Actually, you know, interestingly, NBD is the team that banned Gragas. They actually played it themselves. Jungle Gragas. We know we saw him a couple times here.
Saw twice today as well.
Yeah.
It lost both games, if I remember, today in the LCS. But that was some team-specific things, some misfortune
You can't blame
type
Gragas.
actions at the blue buff. I can blame I Will Dominate.
Oh, I can
for
too.
Not having his smite up when he went to do blue buff. That was his fault.
That's really greedy, and he got punished for it. I actually always take Wraiths or Wolves. I'm going to go for that. But the lock-ins are here for no big deal. You've got the Thresh for support, the Jungle Vi already. NBD picking some pretty safe picks, but strong ones overall.
Yeah, I can see Curse Academy wanting to get a little bit more safety right now if they decide to go for something like Caitlyn. I wonder if Curse Academy is going to go with an all-dive type team, or if they're going to go with something more passive. Jacksmith is a brand player. He played a lot of it in the past.
A lot of
but,
it.
he was just kind of selecting it. No need to lock it in yet because he wants to be able to counterpick his mid lane if possible.
Yeah, it's a good choice right there.
It's not like someone's going to take brand away.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. It's one of those few. It's like Boy Boy's a collie. Like, you'll get it if you want it. You just pick it at the end to make sure the matchup's good. What I'm kind of sad about is they did pick Caitlyn. Curse Academy is a team that occasionally runs no AD carry. Fabi will play like Tryndamere or something. And so it'll be like a melee AD carry, but they won't run a marksman in their lineup.
We did see a lot of that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's not here, but it's okay. They're going to still do something pretty fun.
It's in their back pocket.
Yeah.
In case they need to bring it out later. Although, if they lose this one,
too late. Their pockets are empty.
Their pockets will be empty.
Literally and figuratively.
Best of one, of course. It's pretty punishing for these guys, but at the same time, 6 weeks later, they're going to be able to get into another Challenger Series.
Exactly. Ladders reset, play some rank 5s, get yourself back in there. No big deal, as it were. Here we go. These guys picking their next few. Jinx picked up. Actually, it's interesting. Caitlyn was the first picked the first AD carry picked with nothing removed from the pool.
Yeah.
Curse Academy really wanted the pick. It's one of the new ADCs we've seen get played. Ziggs mid, also of course a great choice as well.
Yeah, I mean even Cop from Curse. I was going to call him Curse Prime, but the LCS Curse team.
Yeah, yeah.
Cop played a lot of Caitlyn as well. So there could be a little bit of Curse to Curse influence going down there. Annie amazingly makes it all the way through to the very end if they decide to pick this one. And they do.
Yeah, I mean, NBD picked Thresh early on, so you figure you're going to play Annie in the first place. You don't have to first pick it anymore. So yeah, heck, why not? Just take it whenever you want.
All right.
And
let's do it.
Yep, Darius picked up here. Yoshi did play that last time. That was against the Nasus, though. He decides, no, I'm going to punish a Shyvana with Darius this time. So you like Darius, Chad.
I like him in the bottom lane.
Okay.
Darius is cool in himself in the top lane. He's not as explosive in the top lane because he's fighting against tanks. But really, he's extremely gankable because he's going to want to play extremely aggressive early on against Rux. It's all about stacking up his bleeds, building tanky and cooldown reduction if he's in the top lane, and just outlasting people.
Okay.
Basically, Darius relies on people not knowing or figuring out how much damage his ultimate plus his bleeds together deal, and kind of surprising people in that way.
Like, you're 800 health. You're dead.
Yeah, you're actually not allowed to get that low against Darius.
Nope. You fall over and die.
Get ya.
Poor Dragon Lady's going to have maybe a hard time here. So, all right, the lineups are there. Pretty freaking aggressive there from no big deal. I love the dunks. Darius, I'm a fan of like the thematic teams, when you've got like Dunkmaster Darius, I realize not the original Dunkmaster, that was Yi, but you've got enough guys who can jump up in the air and then slam down on you. Ziggs, Jarvan, Darius, etc.
So they had Ziggs in that team comp as well, right?
Yep.
Yep.
2 Dunkers.
Six
Vi,
Darius, Vi.
Thresh,
No,
doesn't count.
doesn't count.
Jinx
I like it.
doesn't count.
They got a couple executes, if you think about it.
True.
It's actually going to be most efficient for, and this is the funny thing about Darius, actually. When he came out, everybody that played then remembers his instantly refreshing ultimate and him just jumping all over the place like crazy. And it used to have a small window where if the target died like a quarter second after you killed him, you'd get the reset anyway,
Yeah.
even if you didn't get the kill.
Mm-hmm.
That got taken out. Now it's only if you get the last hit with the ultimate.
Yes.
So Darius ends up doing a lot of overkilling with his true damage ultimate.
Yeah. To guarantee it.
And very rarely he actually gets resets. And it used to be it would reset forever. And then one of the changes went that it would be he would be allowed to use it for the next 12 seconds, and then recently the next 20 seconds, and then it would go back on its normal cooldown. But what's interesting is when the change got made to not instantly refresh, but then instead go on a 12-second cooldown and then be on its full cooldown, his power didn't really change overall.
Yeah.
And I actually think that, this is a weird Darius theory, that if the reset mechanic got removed entirely, Darius might actually become a stronger champion overall.
Why is that?
Because so many people worry about getting the last hit with the ultimate that they often don't do nearly enough damage. And if it got changed that people weren't trying to last hit with it, but instead get 5 bleed stacks and then get the full damage out of the ultimate regardless, you would do more damage and be a more effective champion for the most part.
Huh.
So in this game, since Darius and Jinx are on the same team,
Yeah.
he should stack someone up, ult him as soon as he hits 5 stacks, and then let Jinx try and get the execute.
Yeah, and actually I've seen that when we see Cho'Gath getting played. So many people
Yeah.
try to last hit with Cho'Gath.
With his feast.
Yeah.
Just get the damage out. It's
Yeah.
it's like, what does Cho'Gath do? 600 or 800 true damage depending on AP?
Yeah, something massive.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they'll be at 6 stacks and then still like have the cognitive like, oh no, I need to eat you like completely. If you don't all get in my belly, it's not fulfilling enough.
Yeah.
So and I like how it's thematic for Cho'Gath. It's not necessarily the most powerful way of doing it.
I want to see how No Big Deal plays Darius. Almost everyone tries to execute with it.
Yeah, almost everyone does. Now, guys, as the teams load into the game, let's take a look at the 2 squads, starting with Curse Academy.
Yeah, so Curse Academy had a very tough game on Friday, actually. They came away with a hard-fought 48-minute win over Complexity Academy, even though they were the number 4 seed and Complexity was the 17 seed. Curse Academy also has a couple names on their roster that we saw in Champion Select that are familiar to LCS fans. Rux obviously played for Curse a little bit in Season 3. He stepped in as support, actually, when Elements left the team way back in the spring. And obviously, their AD carry Fabi, the gatekeeper of challengers, solo queue superstar, tends to play a crazy amount of Vayne and likes to hypercarry games.
Yeah, plays some. At least used to play a bunch of Draven as well. And
He either does amazingly or just awful.
yeah, it's
so
15
Fabi
and
dictates
0
the game.
or 0-15.
Uh-huh.
No matter what, he's going to figure out who's going to win the game. On the other side of the rift, though, is No Big Deal. They earned their spot in tonight's game by, unfortunately, breaking the Pink Ponies on Friday.
It was a
good
pretty
name.
impressive 34-minute win over the Ponies, though. Yeah, they had some big numbers in that one. Their mid laner, Anir Attack, went 2-0-11, or Anir Attack. We're going to figure that one out, as Kale. And their AD carry, Jummy Chu, went 6-0-10 as Caitlyn. And Anir Attack's claim to fame is actually second place in the Best Riven NA tournament. He barely lost out to Mega Zero.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Second best Riven NA, not playing Riven. Wasn't even banned this game.
No.
No respect by Curse Academy.
No need. He didn't play it. The Ziggs makes more sense in this.
It does.
Also, Best Ribbon NA was played in the top lane. He's now a mid laner.
Yeah, it's fair. And not, and not even everyone who played in that tournament was a top laner. You had guys like Cutie Pie joining in just to try what they could do. The Best Lee Sin NA tournament happened as well. You had like a bunch of AD carries showing up.
Hotshot GG played in that tournament.
Yeah.
I'm a Cutie Pie. Definitely beat him pretty soundly. Level 1. If anyone hasn't seen one of those things, oh, actually,
They're fun.
yeah. Those Best Ribbon NA tournaments were pretty strong. I do encourage you guys, if you want to see Hotshot GG play I'm a Cutie Pie, just search like the VODs. If you want to see an air attack, which is Katarina backwards against Mega Zero, you can watch the game there too.
I totally didn't realize it was Katarina backwards.
Yeah, neither did I. Somebody told me.
We should probably dictate the pronunciation as well.
How would that dictate?
So Katarina, right? Because the eyes
Okay.
all have different sounds. So Katarina, a near attack.
Okay, so if you were to spell freak backwards, how would that dictate the pronunciation?
Carp.
I don't
Because
understand.
HP is not an F sound.
I don't.
It works in my.
don't understand
Shut
the
up!
logic.
It works in my example.
Okay.
How about Jat backwards?
Tash.
Tash.
Yeah. But
So
it doesn't
softer
make any
J.
sense because it would technically have to be Tesh. Like you can't say a double T at the start of a word. It doesn't work
At the
that
end,
way.
it's fine though. Apparently.
Yeah. So we're about to get into this game though.
Yeah.
Darius is definitely the thing that I want to watch for.
Okay.
More than anything, I want to see.
Lock camera. Garen.
I mean, I might do it personally. I might just kind of look at the minimap and stare at Darius for a while, and you'll be like, "And that was a great gank bottom lane." I'll be like, "Yes, it was, freak."
Darius got
Yes, it
3
was.
CS.
He bled those minions out.
You know, I used to do that casting way back, like season 0, because I didn't know it like enough strategically about League of Legends to like say much about it, even though I was like a top level player. And I would just like critique people's last hitting under turret. Because I had nothing else to talk about.
You know what? Last hitting under turret takes years and years of mastery. There's the zoom in on Yoshi's Darius.
For like 2 seconds, but it was enough.
Cameraman knows what he's doing.
Good.
Professional.
Yeah. So you know, Jaximus's real name on live is only Jaximus. He didn't pick the champion, let alone the skin. I'm disappointed that he's actually same with the Near Attack, right? Didn't pick Katarina, but it's unfortunate. They don't even live up to their own names.
What if Ziggs is actually Katarina in disguise?
How did she get so short? I feel like that'd be really hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about flexibility, but it doesn't work.
Nope. Sorry. It's okay though.
Anyway,
We're here.
No invades. These guys not pulling the evil geniuses. They're going to do the regular ward game. I want to see the Zed versus Ziggs matchup, though. That's a rather high damage matchup, I'd have to say. And Ziggs is going to have to adjust his build accordingly to deal with Zed in the mid lane. Not something Ziggs likes to do. He's really risen to prominence, obviously with a lot of buffs, but also with the fall of the assassin mid laners. Because a lot of the Kazakhs and the Zed would have just eaten him in lane early on. And I want to see if a Near Attack can live through Jackson's Zed.
I want to say we saw this matchup before. Actually, I think it was Bjergsen or it was High, and it was against Pobelter. I'm almost sure I remember seeing Zed versus Pobelter Ziggs. They let him have it, and he got killed pretty early on. Could be wrong. I feel like
We've
saw
definitely seen this matchup play out multiple times. It can go either way, because Ziggs has so much damage potential and very good zones of control that if he gets an edge on Zed, it's quite good. He'll go for the Seeker's Arm Guard most of the time to avoid Zed crushing him.
And maybe a couple Doran's Rings for mana and health in the way. Olaf gonna grab his blue buff. Safe jungle starts here. Actually, both starting on the top side. It might pan out about 3.5 minutes in when the junglers show up to the bottom half of the map. Annie waiting to stun people with that annoying 625 range. Yay for Annie, having more range than most AD carries.
I thought it was 600.
625. So she beats everyone but Caitlyn and like Cog with W active in late game Trist.
All right. That's true. Or Jinx with a maxed Q.
True. Yeah, I forgot about her. 700 range on her with rockets. I feel like, what, rank 1 rockets is 600? I think it's 25 per rank, so I feel like not enough people rocket harass. Or maybe people are so good now that they sort of realize
I've been
Jinx's
noticing a
range.
lot more rocket harass this weekend. Nice chain, though.
Into the root as well. Fabi dropped dangerously low. Already flashed away. The flash in from Jumping. Barrier burn. Cleanse on the Ignite.
Oh.
One more hit and no one's going to get it. Now Sheep, do you have the damage? Well, Fog of War is going to make that hard. One more attack. Down goes the kill. Now Fabi,
Still
can
got
you
flash.
pick up the rest. Yuno is low. Look at these guys just playing them out. And Fabi gets the kill. Would you believe that?
Fabi and Sheep dictating the game. They put themselves in a crazy situation, and then Jimmy Choo and Yuno just went a little bit too aggro. The minions, since the levels were so low in that situation, did the lion's share of the damage at the end there.
That was pretty fabulous.
Yes, I guess so.
I'm going to make them more painful and obvious.
He's now becoming the gatekeeper of the Challenger Series.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. CA going to go all the way to the finals and be like, no. Although, wait, if you make it an LCS, though. No, this works. This works still. Never mind. Here we go.
Big gank.
Nice jump away by Katarina
Small gank.
backwards. Yeah. Force to the satchel charge. Do you think that would hurt a little bit?
No. Ziggs is immune to his own explosives.
Okay. They're just water balloons anyway. No one ever got hurt by a water balloon. Unless it was frozen. That would actually kind of suck. Just get hit with a block of ice. I was just playing.
They call those something, actually. I think there's a nickname for them.
That's just being a jerk.
Or like just
That's
like
what I would call it.
frozen snowballs.
Aren't snowballs already frozen?
Big gank coming into the top lane, though.
Oh no, Darius, please live, Yoshi. Here we go.
See, he's very gankable. He does have his flash up. It shouldn't be... it's all about dodging the axe.
Yep. Burn his flash for it, though, but stylish either way. Yoshi does survive this one. But, of course, now if T-Tours shows back up, it's pretty much a kill.
Yeah, Aerodactyl needs to spend a lot of time top lane if he wants to get Darius going. When Darius saw a lot of play in Season 2 earlier on, near when he was released, it was often for the 2v2.
Yeah.
So Vi needs to spend a lot of time up there and almost force the 2v2 to happen. Otherwise, Darius is just a waiting gank target.
And he pulls a lot of jungle pressure in general. I remember, actually, first it's going to be an attack. He's fine. Okay. But I remember Darius pulls a lot of jungle pressure in general. Season 2 Worlds, Darius played Darius into Jace, saying, yeah, in a 1v1 it's a bad matchup and I'm going to lose.
Exactly.
But if I get a jungle gank, even in the 2v2 with the jungle gank, I will win that fight. And so you kind of have to show up with your jungler or you're going to end up succumbing to the Darius overall.
Yep. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
I didn't understand you properly.
You can see him here. Oh, you expanded on the point.
Okay.
At least Rux is pushing up a little bit. Ooh. You can see it takes a while for Darius' damage to kind of stack up, and now he has the bleed stacks. Rux is really getting taken low. That's the way it works.
Yeah, good and painful right there. All right, Yoshi getting him down to half. These guys trading blows. Doran's shield, no potions left in either of these guys. So once 6 happens, Darius going to go Duncan. It's going to be fun. Curse Academy, though, still able to push out the bot lane. Now, these guys, of course, got to back and got heck a lot more items. Vamp Scepter already for Fabi. I feel like this lane's going to keep going these guys' way.
I think you'd be allowed to say hell if you want.
I know. Yeah. I just don't.
All right, Hecka.
No, Hella is definitely. You don't get to not say Hella.
You just did. You said Hecka something.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I made the comment in the first place, man.
Then I just I have shamed you, NorCal. I apologize.
All right.
I had a friend who used to say hell of cool, just to be a troll.
All right. Good enough.
Oh.
It's been a long week so far.
We're good.
It's been good, though. We've gotten a whole bunch of LCS out of the way if you guys were checking that out. Lots of upsets in the North American LCS today. And the Challenger Series is just getting ramped up here. The winners of these 2 games today make it into the bracket phase, and then it's best of 3 from then on out. So yeah. I definitely think Curse Academy is the big favorites. Maybe not even this game, but to do very well in this overall tournament because these guys have been playing as a team for quite a while. You know, Curse Academy is a constantly changing roster. Quite successful. Fabi is always a strong player. You know, they must have a lot of synergy going by now.
Ooh, Sheep pulled into the turret, takes 1 turret shot so far, eats a flame chopper. That's maybe okay from the fire pack onto Yuno. Do they have enough damage? You know they don't. He's going to get away with a flash. Curse Academy, just a bit of a damage trade.
Yeah, now we might see some action right in the jungle. Aerodactyl going in.
Rux missing the ulti, but Aerodactyl still only 5 burns his flash as well. And all right, well, Curse Academy got control of the red buff.
Yeah, and that was mainly because Yoshi lost a bit of control in top lane. Rux disappeared. He didn't necessarily follow because they were not in position to do a 2v2. I think they were afraid of a 3v3 in there if Zed and Ziggs would have came at the same time. And they end up getting their redstone. Let's see if he can counter with anything of his own.
Yoshi trying to control the blue buff here. He does have a level advantage over T-Tours, who I feel like can't stay around until he gets teammate help, which he kind of does, and you see Yoshi actually back out from this one. So no opportunities there, but we have the level 6 Darius, so it's going to be a thing to watch.
It's interesting that Darius went for the Vamp Scepter.
Yeah, Hydra you think maybe, or just for sustain?
I've seen Tiamat and Hydra Darius's in the past when they have a lot of farm. Generally, Trinity Force is actually my favorite item on Darius because he really benefits from the move speed.
Yeah.
It's your favorite item in life.
Well, yes.
It's my favorite item on Darius.
That's why I play Legend of Zelda so much.
All right.
I don't have to just play League of Legends. I can still get Triforce. It's pretty wonderful. RNA is not my favorite player.
Because of the Triforce tattoos.
Yep. Didn't want to like him before, but now I don't have a choice.
Why didn't you?
He's actually he's actually a cool guy. I realized that couldn't be left standing. I was like, wow, Frick's a dick. He hates RNA for no reason. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Actually, I remember when RNA was a support player way back when. I cast him in like Season 1.
I remember back in. This is probably a little off topic, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Back in WCG, Locust, our support player at the time when I was on Team Dignitas, had a scouting report on RNA. And, like, I'm a cutie pie, and Boy were just, like, terrified of him based on the explanation because he's like, he is crazy. he will just flash over a wall to try a gank. They're like, oh man, what's he going to do? He's just crazy. And it's like, well, he's actually crazy. Don't be scared of him. He just does really stupid things all the time. And then, like, during the game, they're a little bit intimidated, but, like, he would literally, at one point in the game, he flashed over a brush, and we, like, saw it because it was onto a ward. We're like, did he just flash into that ward? We just, like, backed away. We're like, all right, that's fine. But he's gotten much better since then.
Definitely has. One of the better junglers in Europe, for sure. We're seeing, actually, Darius, giant minion lead right now, 18 above. Got ganked, lost his flash, had no fear, and is, like, back to pushing Rux around.
Yeah, he's definitely pretty strong right now. You can see Rux doesn't have any sustain built up yet. He's just sitting on that Giant's belt. So as long as Darius can stay in this 1v1 for a while, he'll keep lane supremacy and keep that farm lead. It's really completely on Curse Academy whether they want to just let that slide because they feel like Siobhan and Darius are mostly trading farm. And if they don't, then obviously Yoshi's going to continue to be a little bit ahead.
Okay, Jackson's getting jumped on right now, though. Not much help from the Ziggs. He's going to answer back onto Aerodactyl. Do they have the damage? Kalen ult as well. Actually gets knocked into range of Aerodactyl by the satchel charge. That's going to give Jackson a kill right there and control over the dragon.
I like this move by Curse Academy. Instead of reacting to the Darius, they just go and take something else. They're not going in any 2v2. They wait out the Ziggs.
That was close.
Wow.
Those are both really close, actually.
They could still go in on this. I wouldn't be surprised if NBD decides to actually try and fight this, but Curse Academy on the run.
Sheep takes some damage, but he's still going to be all right. Let's see. Bottom lane is regrouping back down there. And, you know, we talk about the lanes a little bit. Actually, Yoshi, is this in kill range right now? Could he, like, all-in Rux?
The problem is he has to get his bleed stacks up. And Rux would also ultimate away.
Yeah,
the more Qs he lands, the closer it gets. He might try to pull him in here and force an ult.
There's a W. Gets another Q. 4 stacks, I believe. Those are going to bleed off pretty soon now. Curse Academy, so we talked about a little bit, Darius up about 15 CS. The dive in, good cleanse there, but now it's on to Yuno. He's stuck inside his own box, trying to run away. Sheep getting ignited, and that is a kill. Jinx gets excited. She's out. Jemichu, good pick up there. I'll take the back. Yuno getting the kill credit, but still, nice for NBD.
Yeah, getting something back considering they were down a Vamp Scepter mostly in that lane matchup is big stuff. You wouldn't think that Fabi and Sheep would lose that trade after getting the 2 kills for none so early on in the lane.
Now what happened is actually, looks like Jemichu backed for a BF sword before the Curse Academy bottom lane ever did. So they were fighting BF sword to Vamp Scepter, and that'll usually give you a lane win. Am I wrong?
No, Fabi had the Vamp Scepter, had the BF sword and a Vamp Scepter.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, whereas Jemichu had just a long sword. So like damage-wise, they were the same.
Okay.
But just a little bit more gold and itemization on Fabi.
Lifesteal not as useful when you're dying in 8 seconds.
Yep.
More or less. Of course, actually, Fabi's the one who survived, so to be fair.
Sheep.
Yeah, Sheep, unfortunately, taken out, turned into wool, but he's back. We're going to be okay. Fabi back to the CS game right now. Of course, Dragon has given Curse Academy a bit of a gold lead. NBD did rotate for the top lane turret, so they're finding things to do. That Darius lane right now, their big sort of like locus of power right there. He's doing well, making things happen, but I don't know if they're going to convert much out of that. I want to see him in fights. Yeah.
NBD is sticking close enough. It does seem like Curse Academy is in the majority of the control in this game. If Jaximus is able to start roaming around, that's really going to be what decides this game. Whether that is Fabi and Sheep turret diving with the Zed, or whether they want to get Rux going with Jaximus. Either one is going to show us a lot if Curse Academy can snowball this game.
Well, here we go. Making a little bit of a move here as both junglers showing up to this top lane tri-brush. Olaf might sit on a ward soon. No, he hits behind the wall, so they don't know Olaf is around. But he gets pinged danger. Looks like we're okay for now. Yoshi taking a bad trade right now against Rux, but will he come back in? He's got the bleed stacks. No, the ulti in. Yoshi forced to run. Ignite is on him as well. Rux just bleeding, but he's going to be fine.
I'd say it's a more interesting top lane than usual.
Yeah.
Just
because
they're fighting Darius. They're trading a lot of damage with each other.
You know, Darius, I think, is the first champion with a recall animation.
Really?
I think so. And it snuck under the radar because it wasn't a very obvious recall animation. He just lifts his axe up
to the sky.
Yeah, and people noticed it with Draven, which came right after. And I was like, oh no, actually Darius came first. I was like, oh, okay. Ooh, blue buff. That's Aerodactyl, but it does get denied from Aniratok.
I believe you.
Axe in the air. Darius' first recall animation.
Yep.
Someone asked me that about a week ago, and I was like, I think it was Darius. And then that made it much more easy to recall here. Random everyday life helps me cast sometimes.
Word association as well.
Yes.
Helps you finish sentences.
Yep. You know, Jat, sometimes we finish each other's.
Sandwiches?
Yes.
Not sure.
Yeah, you put the mayonnaise on, I put on the beef, you put on the cheese. I don't know. I don't even like mayonnaise. I don't know why we led with that. Whatever. Minions going down. Look at this. Perfect CS. Jummichu. Good job. He waited. Had enough attack damage. Once you have about plus 20 AD from items, 25, 30 roughly, actually.
Yes. Because you were
can
talking about
one-shot
this
caster
earlier.
minions.
Yeah. It becomes almost comical the last hit a turret. Like, I also like how the turrets are fairly consistent in the way they deal damage now. You can really tell when someone... it's like a mini game every time you go down to farm. If a big wave hits your turret, like what's going to happen to Rux if he had a turret?
You get the first one pretty easily.
He's going to hope to get the mini game going. But yeah,
Sunfire
just
was
trying to do your mini game and farming all the minions is actually quite challenging. And you can see the pros almost never miss. Focus on that every time you're in a game and you see minions coming through to your turret. It's an incredible amount of gold over the course of a game if you can get all of them.
Yep. Melee minions, the turret hits it twice. You'll get it almost no matter who you are, with very few exceptions. 2 auto attacks in any champion auto attack, and you're fine. Casters always need help of some kind.
Yeah, you want the support to hit it.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you see people use spells on it. There's a few strange spells you can use, like if you have a really low damage spell, if you're on Cassiopeia or something, you can throw a W on right as you're auto-attacking, but don't let it sit too long, otherwise the turret will kill it.
Yeah.
Some weird stuff that you have to do. It's really champion dependent. Or like if you're Shyvana, you have your burnout, take it for like a second.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Rux has
of
been
weird
doing that,
stuff.
actually. But now he has Sunfire, so that's kind of gone for him. I've actually learned which mages have instant damage spells. So Swain's Q, for example, deals damage the instant you press Q.
Yep.
Whereas his E, like I don't know if it even ticks at the beginning, but you've got to like get the projectile out. So like you can like auto Q as Swain, you'll get casters. You can like E early then auto. It gets really weird when you have Blade of the Ruin King because you don't do enough damage when they're low, but you'll overkill it when they're full health. So you have to somehow get 2 attacks in, and you can't hit early or you'll kill it with percent health current damage, and it'll die to the turret.
Same thing used to happen with Jarvan until his passive was adjusted a little bit. It was like impossible for him to kill the ranged minions at turret.
Poor guy.
But not anymore. And it looks like Curse Academy has taken a bit more control of this game. You can see Fabi finished off the bottom turret, and now they're actually using him as a soul split pusher. He's very experienced in this role because he plays a lot of Vayne, and Vayne is typically the split pusher that can then duel an AD carry. Caitlyn doesn't have the same dueling potential, but he still knows how to position himself as a solo person and stay safe.
Yeah, and at least he can ward for himself. That helps a little bit here. You know, you can actually chain all of your spells in with your net. You don't have to just EQ. You can EW, which is sometimes way better because the slow helps them not avoid the trap, and you can often combo into a root.
I haven't seen anybody do that in pro play necessarily.
Yeah, I feel like I don't either. I feel like I don't see a lot of mid-fight traps.
Yeah.
Either because they're not noisy enough that I see them cast it, or just because they're certainly good players. Like I'm sure they're aware of all the combos. I don't know. I've noticed the Nidalee players are really good at spreading traps out down the sides of the lane, though.
Oh, yeah.
That when a fight breaks out, someone will eventually hit one, but they'll almost never get taken by minions. All right, another dragon for Curse Academy. 2-0 on this. 4,000 gold in the lead. That's actually pretty good at this point. Low kills, but good objective control. Winning in turrets as well.
Yoshi didn't really make much of an impact up with Darius.
Yeah.
Yet.
He will. Pentakill, calling it.
The Vamp Scepter is still a little questionable for me. But
Yeah, he wanted to sustain, I guess, but now
I
he's
know.
items behind.
Yeah, he did outfarm Shyvana. They traded turrets. I think if a fight happened right now, he can still make an impact, but an air attack would have to get a lot of damage down. He's looking not very healthy.
Yeah, here we go. The dive going to come in anyway. D2 is running towards the front. Yuno taking a bit of pain.
Ooh.
Jinx ulti does not even land
Here
as
we
that
go.
I saw. And here we go. Yoshi going for the pain, trying to take down Annie. Doing what he can. After this fight, we're going to have a quick game pause, but Yoshi still in the battle. Does go down. Looks like a 2-for-1 overall, and BD does come out ahead. All right, guys, we got to pause real quick in this game. So, Darius, 2 kills for the team.
He did get a couple kills. That was a decent fight for them because they initiated so hard into the jungle there that he could get a couple bleed stacks just by spamming his Q a few times. His executes were okay, and I was a little distracted. I mainly just watched the Darius that fight,
Yeah,
but he did all right.
that's all you have to really watch for here.
Well, at least when he has the resets, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're watching for.
Yeah, it's actually going to replay that fight, Jet. Since we were so zoomed in on one champion, we should probably watch all 10.
Let's watch the other ones.
Yeah,
It's
let's
generally pretty important.
watch the other 9. I mean, I guess we maybe saw his victims for a little bit as well, but we can get that replay up on your screen. Yeah, one sec. We're getting that set up for you guys. So, so that's interesting. So Curse Academy was winning pretty hard, like good margin, comfortable margin. And we just had NBD win a fight. Now, unfortunately, Dragon's already gone. Nothing to take for that. Only turret they've killed yet is top outer, so they could maybe rotate to mid. Maybe rotate to bottom, try to get some extra pressure there. We're going to get the replay on your screen right now, though, Jat, so here we go.
Yeah, so the big thing here is the Thresh box is actually pretty much the perfect box. Everyone has to run through that. And then it's just a big cluster. If the Jinx ultimate would have hit the middle of that fight, it would have been just ridiculous benefit for Team NBD, but because it wasn't, Curse Academy kind of escaped the giant cluster and still came out on top of that fight 2-1. But it was a pretty dangerous place for them to be diving into. Things almost went wrong despite Curse Academy's big gold lead.
Yeah, they could have went way worse. The Jinx ulti actually hit the back line. It touched the full health Fabi instead of getting like all the super chunked frontliners there. And I did see the Caitlyn Cupcake mid-fight there. Darius had the revealed buff on his head, meaning he'd eaten a cupcake earlier that fight. So, Fabi, putting cupcakes down mid-fight. Do that when you're Caitlyn. Don't forget. It's really important. It's free peel.
Agreed.
Self-peel. Pretty useful. All right. So, coming through this game, the other thing I think about, I just like to talk about Darius. We don't see him much.
Sure.
I'm just going to keep going. I hope you have like some more
what else
do you
could
knows.
we talk about Darius? Well, the thing is, Darius is a pretty simple champion.
Yeah.
Did you know? This is like if you read the tooltip, you know this. But his W is actually an attack speed slow as well as a move speed slow. So if you can close in on an AD carry, it theoretically helps him duel in those tight-knit situations.
Yeah.
Also, his E is one of the few like vacuum type abilities in the game. And by vacuum, I mean it brings multiple targets into a singular point, which is rather potent with other AoE, but it's got a little bit of anti-synergy with himself. So if you actually get a hook on someone, I like hooking in, Wing them so they're slow, but then I want to fade back so you can get the extra damage on your Q because it's got 2 zones of damage. The outer one is 50% more, the inner one is less. And then since they're slowed, you can still attack them again later and keep the auto attacks in. But the fade away is really nice. And that's why I like Trinity Force, because it gives him more of that mobility.
Yeah, and he just moves fast whenever he auto attacks or kills something as well. That's cool. Did you know gains move speed per person bleeding?
I did know that.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, it's very like invisible. You see the bleed and you're like, "Ow, this hurts a lot. I'm taking damage." But if he gets the entire team, that's 25% bonus move speed until the bleeds all fall off. And so he's actually going to like start zipping around that fight a little bit more. For what it's worth.
Yeah, it's an absurd amount of move speed. He's also unfairly extremely hard to itemize against.
Yeah.
Because he does physical damage with his 2 normal abilities.
QW auto attack.
His E gives him armor penetration. Then his bleed just does magic damage. His ult is obviously true damage. So the things you want to build against him is basically health, is what you think. But then his Q's hitting you for max damage anyway, and the armor pen is making it closer to true damage on all his abilities.
He's a painful dude.
Don't build that much good against him. That's why people didn't like him.
Yeah, at least you can kite the guy.
Counters. Unless he builds a Trinity Force and a Zephyr.
In which case he just dies in 3 seconds. Or not. Sorry. You're the Darius master.
Sometimes he does.
Sometimes.
Only build that when you're very far ahead.
When you're very far ahead, just Alacrity Enchantment, Boots of
Yes.
Swiftness, run at people.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Champions with low amounts of tools, which I'd like to call Darius, also Udyr, and maybe even Garen, are favorite champions for Alacrity Enchantments.
Yeah.
Since they are useless if they can't get in melee range of somebody. So therefore, move speed to me is just catastrophically more valuable than other itemization, which means I almost always build Alacrity Boots when I play those champions.
I remember playing against you in the beginning of our Season 3 playtests, and you would rush Boots 2 and Alacrity Enchant on Jungle Udyr. And it's like 10 minutes into the game, it's like your only item.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, he has like 400 move speed without Bear Stance.
Yeah.
And I'm just like dying all the time.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I'm Ashe and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Sometimes I did Swifty Boots because it would reduce your slow percentage. So
Oh, that's true.
It's like Boots 2.5 with the enchantment.
Yeah. So then I'm even less useful as Ashe. Thank you for being a jerk and countering my champion
Not
with
a
your
problem.
items. I hate you.
Anytime.
Yeah. Other interesting things, like as we talk about sort of the new items coming into the seasons, I guess it makes sense. I didn't think about it, though. One of the Cloud9 players was talking about how they're playing less Ashe because you pick up Mikhail so often now. That I think it got cheaper, if I recall correctly.
It got way cheaper.
Yeah. It's like 2,000 goldish now.
I want to say it's even cheaper than that, but I could be wrong.
It's like 2,000 or 1,800. Fairly cheap overall. And yeah, I mean, 3-minute cooldown is long, but you only get that many Miracle Arrows per game that he's like, oh, you stunned our AD carry for 5 seconds. No.
Yeah.
And it worked really well in that case. I remember the act of getting moved around a little bit. So it's now flat +% of max health. So it's not like It is a bait in that like you want to bait someone to overcommit, but it's not a like missing health heal like I'm trying to think of missing health heals and I'm blanking.
Missing health heal.
we have
Soraka's
any?
missing health heal?
Yeah, she does now.
Yeah. I think that's most of them. I don't think we have any. We generally have like missing health executes.
Yeah.
And just now we have missing health heals.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much just on Soraka.
Okay, so but for what it's worth, that baiting's been kind of fun. It was actually really good to me. I like the item because if I'm getting like Alacrity Boots and like Talisman of Ascension, I'm already at CDR cap, and I'm like, but I really want Chalice. And now it builds into something other than Athene's. I guess it always had, but Mikhail's really good now, and I can feel good buying a Chalice on like Janna or something.
So, our fancy stat people,
Mm-hmm.
Karma has a missing health percentage heal.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Mantra W.
Yep. It's
Wonderful.
a lot of health, too.
It's like 20% missing both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's-
it's maximum like 39.9% or something if you're like a sliver when you used it.
Mhm. You know what the
And then took a bunch of damage and then continued to do it.
yeah, got back to 2 health. Used the shield in time. Actually, did you know, this isn't actually a mechanic, but I went back and watched the Dignitas Alliance series, and in the very beginning of Game 1, I think it's Game 1, where Kiwi Kid and Cutie Pie gets dived on,
Yeah.
Kiwi hits level 3, learns W, actually activates Mantra, and is like almost mid-cast animation as he's running back to his turret, almost heals himself for 20% of his health, and survives that early tower dive. That Shook gets in at like 3
almost
minutes.
did.
He like almost survives. He's basically a quarter second from healing for 20% of his max health.
Would it change the game?
Maybe.
No, it wouldn't. I think Alliance had that one pretty well.
Yeah, but it was the beginning. It snowballed a little bit.
Yeah.
And tabs got a bit bigger. But I was like, I was like, slowed it down. I was like, the icon changed. He did Mantra. He did hit level 3 and learn it because the spectator was on him already, so we could see his skills. So really close to that happening. You never know. I don't know.
It's
Cutie
interesting.
Pie.
Those turret dives can often be extremely close on whether they're going to work or not.
There's some crazy. I mean, we saw that with last night the LMQ game. Godlike.
Ackerman?
Ackerman.
Yeah.
Godlike from Royal. He renamed, but that's
Well,
the
his
same
name's
player.
Ackerman.
Yeah, but he was. Unless I'm like actually dumb and I was lied to, but same player, right?
No, he is godlike from Royal.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
making sure. Yeah, he like lived with 12 health for like 5 minutes under that turret. Kind of like gets an Ori shield. I don't think he actually got a Cold Meek off, but just enough resist that he survived and then tanked the turret, killed the champions there. It was just like some people just survive that long. Beta Tarek, 300 armor. You remember playing like old Tarek?
That was
who would rush
like a
Frozen
couple
Heart?
days ago.
Huh?
A couple weeks ago, wasn't Tarek able to get
I mean
300
that's true, sure. But
Yeah.
I remember the fountain turret used to deal physical damage,
Right.
and you could sit in the fountain for like 8 seconds.
So yeah, I guess in the Alliance game against Dignitas at Battle of the Atlantic, they all tried to do that fountain dive thing. That used to be way easier. Yeah.
Just sit there.
Like, you could actually do it. I know some games way back when I was playing Uter back then, and I would hit something like 200 or 300 armor, and we'd like to run it with a lot of shields or heals or something. So like, I could actually just turtle stance tank
The
and just
fountain.
have people healing me and shielding me and just be in the fountain for like 25 seconds if we wanted to. It was amazing. I can kind of see why they removed it.
Yeah,
It's not very fun for the enemy,
a little bit.
but it was pretty fun for us.
Yeah, I imagine. And it pierces Kale ulti, it pierces
Now it
Zillion
does.
ulti, yeah, now it does. Pierces GA, everything. You can't even shield like damage.
No.
So if you thought you were gonna like blitzcrank passive, no, none of it. It just like
I
two
agree with
shots
the
you.
decision
Yeah.
overall. Yeah,
But when I was winning, it was so much more fun.
it was.
Oh well.
And we would see so many more fountain dives in the LCS if it.
Thresh hooks are already
I
enough.
mean, we already see fountain dives.
Yeah. Sorry.
We already see a bunch of fountain dives.
Yeah.
is what
they're,
I'm saying.
they're fun.
Yeah.
And the teams that do it wrong, there was actually a video up like 3 months ago or something of a team who like killed all the minions, all the turrets. They're like nexus at half, and they all fountain dive and die, and the team comes back and kills
Yeah.
the base.
Yeah.
And they lose by bad mannering the fountain.
And just so you guys know, the issues have been solved. We're now back into the game. Thank you for listening to us rant about almost nothing league related.
We almost always rant about beta, I've noticed.
You know, being nostalgic is one of the coolest things I've found in game communities. Like,
yeah.
knowing where this game came from and what has changed is always an interesting topic of conversation. We'll delve deeper if we get another pause, actually.
I do like league stories. They're really enjoyable. Just all the old like sit on the porch, listen up stories. But we're back into the game. NBD, they do take the mid-outer turret, 2-2 in turrets here, of course. Curse Academy still up 2 dragons and a champion kill. To recap, guys, if you don't remember what's going on, if you tuned in late to the stream, whatever, what have you, this is a match, a best of 1. The winner goes into top 8. The winner of this plays determined gaming. We saw them play against Evil Geniuses, lose 0-3 there. But this is going to be their next opponent, whichever team wins here. Top lane Darius is an awesome bro. Got a kill and assist last fight. And overall, fun game going on.
Yeah, it's gotten fairly close. I think Curse Academy, they've controlled 2 of the dragons, if any of you are just tuning in now. Fabi and Sheep actually got a very early double kill in the lane. So Fabi's going to be looking to become a force later on in this matchup. But they've actually lost a lot of their lane presence since getting that double kill. Yes, they took the tower, but they had a 2v2 fight where they actually ended up suffering a death. So not everything is going right for Curse Academy.
Not everything. And we had one minor fight where NBD went 2-1 in the battle in just kind of the middle of the jungle. So these guys definitely trading blows right here. Jackson is picking up the money. He is a 1-0-1 Zed. I feel like his split push scariness is going to grow over time, especially when he completes that last Whisper. Should be able to take on almost anyone from the other team. I feel like Darius couldn't beat a Zed. I don't think he'd kill him in time. I feel like.
Right now, Darius for Zed?
Right now, without last Whisper, maybe he's all right.
Yeah.
He's
I think it'd be
12,
okay.
so it's a really good power spike. But I just feel like 3 items for both these guys.
Yeah, I think there comes a point where Zed becomes more potent.
Okay. NBD looking for the bottom lane here. Looks like they have rotated first. 4 people going to be here as Darius holds the mid lane. This turret pretty much at full health, but there's no one here to defend this really. The rest of the rotation's coming in now. Annie's joined up with Zed. Jacksmith and Sheep here. They're trying to kill off the minions, and looks like NBD's going to flinch here and not quite go for it. That was the reason we paused. Yoshi has reconnected, of course, already. The game's continuing on.
It's an artifact right there. Not something that was actively happening. He's good to go. Coming back up towards his top lane, trying to stop Rux. He's fallen a little bit behind in farm because of those team fight shenanigans that just happened. I feel like Rux is actually getting to that late game scaling point where Darius is going to be scared of him. So Yoshi actually needs to find more team fight situations where he can start bleed stacking multiple people and just help Jinx get those executes.
Let's see if he can do it. NBD with a good siege on his bottom lane. Decent damage here. That turret down just a couple hundred health right now. Next time someone's left alone, it's going to be going down. Rux, good rotation to mid. No one here to stop him at all. Curse Academy looking to kill this building down. Good stuff right there. Just a freebie.
Kill this building down. Yeah, they're pressuring around the map. It's because Rux had pushed so much in the top lane. He just rotated mid, and NBD had nobody to come up and match that. And Aerotech had gotten a little bit distracted and ended up going to the bot lane. NBD's trying to get some of this turret pressure back, but they're just falling a bit behind now.
And Yoshi just seems to be having a worse time killing off these minion waves. You talked about Rux just pushing top so hard, and Yoshi was basically unable to move. And you know, to kind of add to all this, Rux is actually just, he's going to be really big. 170 minions going towards Blade of the Ruin King as well. I mean, I feel like Rux is going to have a pretty good time trying to dive towards the back line if he gets to.
Yeah, things are looking way up for Curse Academy right now. Everything absolutely going the way. I think especially once they get Static Shiv, since they're already substantially out-pushing NBD, they have a very good push comp at the moment. You know, Rux on Shyvana, almost an unstoppable split push at this point by anyone on NBD. Jacksmith has enough damage, and Aerotech actually did go for the Athene's Unholy Grail with the Seeker's Arm Guard, so there's no Zhonya's he can't get in range of Zed. Then you just add in Caitlyn Olaf, both those guys extremely good range wave clear. All 3 slots so far for Curse Academy here can push through extremely well, and NBD, despite having Ziggs, who is one of the best counter pushers in the game, just don't have enough across the map to keep the minions away from their turrets.
They don't just yet, so Curse Academy, the outer layer already been peeled away. Look for the second layer soon enough. They're actually looking to control the the Baron a fair bit. 2 pink wards around Baron. Another one on the route in, so that is 3 of them already put down. Using the sweeper, using other wards to spot the ways in. Looks like they're baiting right around the wall here. Near attack gets seen. The flash in from Sheep, and near attack. Good buy right there. Sheep getting the kill credit. 2-2-2 on that Annie.
Yeah, it's been a strong initiation there, and especially with the steal potential of Ziggs down, they just have to pick off Vi or zone her from the fight in order to secure this Baron. Let's see how well they zone out Aerodactyl, or whether they're willing to just engage in a 50-50 trade here.
Let's see what they do right there. Vi is nearby. No one's probably going to zone him out. Of course, his team's still here to go for this one. The jump over from Zed goes for the ulti. Can they one-shot Vi in time? Health bar still going down for Curse Academy, but they can turn back on this one. Jackson flashes over the wall. Jinx ulti is going to claim a kill. but it's Baron in a 1-for-1.
Yeah, they were just able to get that Baron. Good job killing Aerodactyl. It does seem like the connectivity issues continue for Yoshi.
In the past.
No, they're still happening. He disconnected during that fight. There's the online rules as well, since these are played online, that if you only get 10 minutes of pause time for these guys, and I believe they've went close to through it. So if he has connectivity issues, it is the individual's responsibility, as far as these rules go, unfortunately, to hold their own connection. And it seems like he's reconnecting in a little bit more often than MBD would like. They were losing when it started, but it has persisted.
That's a fair point. Okay, so we'll see these guys can regroup from all of this. A 7,000 gold lead, though, puts Curse Academy in a pretty good spot. Set up the wards, set up the play, traded kills, got rid of the enemy jungler, and gave themselves a high percentage smite here. Randuin's Omen plus Ancient Golem here on the Olaf jungle. They've got a force to dive with. They've got an AD carry who can sit there and put out the damage from the back, and a bunch of menacing split pushers. Curse Academy, pretty well-rounded lineup right now.
Yeah, Curse Academy looking to shove in as many lanes as they possibly can. It's about an 8,000 gold advantage. Yoshi reconnects again.
Very
on, buddy. You
unfortunate.
can stay back this time.
I believe. You gotta believe. You believe hard enough, and they show back up.
You got to believe pretty hard in this case. They are down substantially. Darius, even if he wasn't having connection issues, has a very weak late game when compared to Shyvana. All the pushing advantages are accumulating for Curse Academy. The Baron is up. These are very hard things to come back from if you're NBD.
Definitely are right here. Curse Academy still putting the pressure on. Sweeper used to get rid of some of these wards, make sure that jungle is blacked out as they go for that second ring of turrets. They're still at 3 right now, but 4, 5, and 6 are right in front of them. Zed in the bottom. Shyvana with the rest of the team up top. Aerodactyl not quite finding a fight right here. Yuna's going to go in, finds the pull. Teacher was going to pop the ulti to get away from this one. So Olaf is safe, but loses a cooldown.
That was kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
The Death Sentence just kind of disappearing as soon as it almost like it got zapped or something.
Yeah, it's the new particle for when you remove
death particle, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, I like it a lot. It sort of shatters with Thresh Green Mystic Energy. Ooh, Sheep gets pulled up there.
Oh, could
nice
see a
play
big
backwards.
fight here.
There's a good Timbers. Goodbye, Fabi gets the kill picked up. Pretty easy one, all things considered, for Curse Academy. Maybe Yuna shouldn't have gotten in that one. Unfortunately, that whole jungle was warded.
It's really hard for them to get control right now. There's pink wards in the jungle. The catch potential of Sheep is too high, and they just cannot seem to get Yoshi back in this game.
Very unfortunate for these guys, but the pressure is still just going to continue for Curse Academy. The dive in by Rux slows down Jumichu and just goes down. Fabi on a rampage, 4-0 and 4. Aerodactyl stunned up as well. That's another kill picked up here. Curse Academy likely to get some turrets. And Near Attack also goes down. Jack has lost some health, but very much worth it there.
Yeah, this looks like it could be close to the end here. Curse Academy just got a whole bunch of kills. They still have the Baron buff, and they're just pushing down the inhibitor turrets.
Inhibitor turret number 1 under siege, 4 turrets to 2. CA 10-4 in kills as well. Inhib number 1 also going to go down just 27.5 minutes in. Jackson is still pressuring the bottom lane as well.
Backing away to play this one a little bit more safe. Oh, there it is. That's a surrender.
That is a surrender. NBD dropping out. Curse Academy moving on forward. They will be playing against Determined Gaming, I believe, in the very next week. But all the round of 8 matches are either next week or the week after.
Yeah, they're going to be always right after the North American LCS on Saturday and Sunday. But, you know, it's a very unfortunate ending.
Yeah.
Right there for those guys. I know they're not going to be happy about that one. But Curse Academy was winning that game previously. It's just the tough nature of this tournament sometimes. Yeah,
it's very, very unfortunate for these guys. But Curse Academy, of course, putting on a pretty good amount. And by the way, that's going to be February 1st, that game. So 2 weeks from yesterday, if I have my days properly.
Damn.
Yeah. 2 weeks from yesterday. Right. Yes. 13 days from now. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when you return, Tint Gaming takes on NK Inc., Evaniscus, and the rest of Skyline in our second match of the night. The 2014 North American Challenger Series will be right back after this.